Good evening. Today is June 4th, 2026. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Anna Braun.
Here.
Timothy Cummings.
Here.
Antonetti Vola.
Here.
Jamie Falco. Louis Figueroa.
Here.
Lori Herrick.
Here.
Lee Woo Hung. Here. Wilbur Pan. Mary Ann Tenios.
Here. We have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed and acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the East Brunswick Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at 760 Route 18, East Brunswick, New Jersey. Written notice was also provided to the Sentinel, the Newark Star-Ledger, the Home News Tribune, the Alternative Press of East Brunswick, and the Municipal Clerk of East Brunswick. All Board of Education meetings, with the exception of executive session discussions, are videotaped for later broadcast. It is the policy of the Board of Education that videotape meetings are not edited for any purpose. Individuals who speak at the board's public meetings should be aware of these videotaping rules. We have a need for a closed session. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting, and whereas these subjects are within the exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed session pursuant to NJSA 10-4-12B, and whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss matters as listed in the agenda, whereas the length of the closed session is estimated to be 90 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and action will be taken. Now therefore be resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Ed will recess into closed session for only the aforesaid subjects, and be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Ed hereby declares that its discussion of the aforesaid subjects will be made public at a time when the public's interest in disclosure is greater than any privacy or governmental interest being protected from disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Do we have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Oh, Jamie and Wilbur, and they still made it. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? We are in closed. See you in approximately 90 minutes. Okay. Good evening. We are back from closed. Okay, and we are jumping right into our agenda. So, reorganization annual actions. Do we have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Wilbur and Jamie. Discussion?
Me?
Antoinette? Go ahead.
So for the first one, the athletic event admission fees, I saw it listed that there are possibilities for families to purchase season passes, and I had reached out to you and asked you how they can do that, and you said the athletic department. If you could just be more specific so families can know that. And also, do you have to be a parent? Because I know that there are community members that do enjoy watching the games. Are they eligible to get those passes as well?
Yeah. So it's adults, a season pass option. The standard admission is $5 per game. If you purchase the season pass, you get a $1 discount. You pay up front. You would go through the athletic department. They would issue you a season pass. And it's based off of, if sometimes there's 4 football games a season at home, sometimes there's 5, depending on the scheduling. So it would just be the $4 times the number of home games. And that would be the cost. So it would run through the athletic department. There is no restriction as far as, you have to be a parent or a community member. If you go to games, that you're eligible, but you would have to go through the athletic department.
So when you say go through athletic department, you mean they call them or email them?
Yeah, you would reach out.
Thank you.
Can I jump on that? How would people know that if they weren't part of the community? So to Antoinette's point, there are a lot of community members who like coming watch our games. Is this something that's on our website?
I would have to check because I don't.
Or the athletic website piece? That might not be a bad idea, to put it on the athletic
We'll check,
piece.
and if it's not there, we could put that out.
And also, just for anybody who is watching, when you say it's a seasonal pass, so in other
Right.
words, there's the fall, the winter, and the spring, or is it,
It's
I can get a pass for the whole
seasonal,
year.
meaning football season,
yeah,
wrestling season, basketball season.
okay, so in other words,
it's
that
per
pass gets
sport.
me one sport
Yes.
for that season only?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanna make sure, for home games.
Yes.
Is this new?
No, it's been
Wow, I
around for
never
a
knew
while,
about this.
but
I don't think I knew about it.
based off of the questions, I did follow up and, make sure that we weren't approving something that doesn't exist. And I was told that it doesn't get purchased often and they haven't had one in a number of years.
Oh, hopefully we get some this year.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Joe, can you talk to us a little bit about all of these purchasing agreements? Are there any changes from previous years or anything new happening there?
So the co-op agreements, we have to get them board approved to participate. When something new comes up, we approve it at that time and then we do it now during the annual actions. It allows us to go to each co-op, some of them are local, some of them are national, and get the best price. So if we're buying water, we can go and say, oh, the state contract is $1 a bottle. This co-op out in, Nevada is 59 cents, whatever the case may be. So we shop around. A lot of times there will be a need by the district. We want to purchase, a software. And then we go and find, like, oh, that software is under this co-op and it's a good price, it's better than the quote. Or by being in the co-op, we don't have to bid it out, because the co-op did the bid process. So it does allow us to maximize our purchasing power.
Got you, thank you. And so do we pay into these co-ops?
None of these co-ops charge a fee to participate.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Sometimes the vendor might have to pay to be a part of the co-op, to participate, to submit the bid or whatever, but we do not pay the co-op.
Thank you.
So this is a roll call vote.
Anna Braun,
Yes.
Timothy Cummings,
Yes.
Antonetti Vola,
Yes.
Jamie Falco,
Yes.
Louis Figueroa,
Yes,
Lori Herrick, Lee Woo Hung,
Yes.
Wilbur Pan,
Yes.
Mary Ann Tennis.
Yes, motion carries. Okay. With that, we are going into our presentations and/or special reports, capital projects. And before we begin this section, I want to preface this by saying no action is being taken tonight. This is a discussion. This is a first discussion in which the board is, even ourselves having this discussion. As you know, these conversations have to happen in public. So this is the first time that we as a board are also looking at this, reviewing all of these capital projects and what they could mean for our district.
So because we have a committee of the whole for finance and facilities, some of these items would typically be spoken about at the committee level and then reported to the full board. But committee of the whole, as Marianne said, we're going to discuss it out in public. So we'll go through, some of these projects have already been planned. The plans are approved, state approval, the budget's in place, and some are coming up, and we're in the early stages. So, next slide. So the goal is to review and discuss those capital projects, and then have a very preliminary discussion about the high school and what the options are. So one of the projects that we're working on is the demolition of the old maintenance building on Cranberry Road. It's kind of like across the street from Central. That used to be the maintenance yard in the bus depot. It's been cleaned up a lot over the previous years. There's still one structure there. The township code enforcement, building department has been requesting that it be demolished because it is abandoned. It's not suitable for use. So we're moving forward on demoing that building. Currently, there's no plans to sell that space. As we all know, there's not a lot of space available in East Brunswick. So I think we've talked about what we're going to do with that space, that land in the future would have to be part of the strategic plan, long-term planning. But at the same time, it is our land and our property, so we need to ensure that, the building's not going to fall down on its own. So, question?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's like your PTSD.
Yeah,
I have a slightly humorous question. What if the building just fell down on its own? Would that save us money?
we would still have to remove the debris. And I will say, I did think of, how could we do a fundraiser to knock the building down? So you have rubbed off. Jamie,
Well, I was just thinking
so-
of those rooms where you can smash stuff. So
So, yeah.
How big is that plot of land?
It's a weird shape.
It's triangular. There's roads on all sides of it.
Yes, yeah. So, would it be big enough to put, a school on? No, because with parking and everything. But it might be suitable if we expanded our bus fleet, because the current support operations building is at capacity. So, again, it's something that we're gonna have to develop and discuss, what the best use is. And it might be determined the best use is to sell it. But we're not there yet.
Sorry to interrupt. When is that scheduled to be demolished?
The bid was just opened
Okay.
today. So we're reviewing it, and then, the nice thing is we don't have to demolish it by September 1st, to open up school, so we have some flexibility.
But we are actually voting on that tonight,
Yeah,
right?
you're, tonight, later on the agenda, you're voting on the amendment to the long-range facility plan and submitting the application to the state. All right. The multipurpose room and kitchen renovations at Frost and Warnsdorf for elementary schools, the plans are done. They've been submitted to the state, approved. It's just the timing of the bidding. This will be paid partly from shared service agreements previously already approved in the Child Nutrition Enterprise Fund. Frost parking lot, this board is familiar with that. We went out to bid, rejected it. The plans are approved. We're looking at end of October, November timeframe to rebid and hopefully start the project next summer and finish it before the school year of not September 1st, the following September 1st. The lower turf at the high school, this is just the replacement of the turf. Based off of inspections, we believe the subsystems under the turf are in good shape and will not require any remediation. That field is past its useful life. We're currently waiting on new cost estimates and preparing the specs to go out to bid or to use one of the co-ops that we belong to. At the same time, when I was at the field inspecting it, I did notice that the baseball field is at the end of its useful life. So I asked our engineer to provide a cost estimate to replace the infield area of the turf. Because we do not have money earmarked for the whole field. So I don't know if we have money to do the infield, but I figured while you're doing the work, let's see what it is. And maybe we can get a better deal if a turf company is doing one field already, they're already there to try to help out. All right, the outfield is not in great shape, but it's not as bad as the infield.
Joe,
Yes.
let's see, when the turf gets replaced, what's the expected lifespan of it?
I think they're about 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, I think it's even pushing 15 now with the newer, as technology gets better and the material gets better. But yeah, the previous football field, the life expectancy was 10 years, and I think we got like almost 15 out of it. It also, a lot of it has to do with how it's maintained. If the little rubber pellets are put in appropriately and it's groomed appropriately. So
Can I quickly go back to the Frost parking lot?
Yes.
If that's okay. So I haven't been there during like drop off pickup time. I've heard that it's chaotic. Is that a fair? Okay. Yeah. Dangerous? Okay. That's not.
Jamie's a Frost mom, so she can.
You can speak to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. If we go back out to bid in the fall and find ourselves in a similar situation, what would be the plan at that point?
So after the bid results, and it was significantly over budget, one of the things that I talked about with the engineer was, what are the options, right? So when we do a bid, we have to be specific. Here's the bid, parking lot, but then we can do alternatives, we can do different options, as long as we're clear on those options. So the previous bid specs had water retention under the parking lot. So what are the other options? How's the lighting being run and whatnot? So based off of those options, we can almost, pick and choose. Oh, we have this much money, we can do this type of pavement, with this type of retention, with this type of security system, and piecemeal it together to fit what our budget is, and still have a really good parking lot. We're never going to say, oh, we don't have that much money, so, only do half of it, or only, water retention, who needs that? We're not gonna do that. So it's the mindset of trying to give us the most flexibility for our dollars is a priority.
So Joe, I have a follow-up question. So if you change the options, so should we go back to the zoning board, planning board for their approval?
So as long as the plan, the site is not changing, we don't have to go to the planning board, but we do, and I think that's the best practice to get the township's feedback and the community's feedback. So we'll continue to do that. But as far as the retaining, the water retainage underneath, if we change that, we would still have to get DOE approval, Department of Environmental Protection, and we would have a conversation with the township to make sure that, these changes are not impacting anything or sending red flags to them, because they do have some expertise as well.
Yes, because the change you are talking about is kind of significant.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So, yeah, we are not going to do anything in a silo or a vacuum. I think we've made a commitment to try to be inclusive and bring together, not separate. All right, the high school stadium lighting project replacement. All of these projects, by the way, were already in shared service agreements, and the money's there for these specific things. So I've come to learn that the stadium lighting, there's dark spots that the lights are not covering during night games, which, that's not ideal. One of the problems when trying to move this project forward, we found out the poles themselves are not suitable for the new lights. So when this was developed several years ago, it was like, just replace the lights, and put in LED lights and whatnot. So again, waiting for some pricing to see what that impact is, to see if we can do it, or if we're gonna have to make alternative arrangements to get the new lighting in place.
Other than just for aesthetics, the lighting is not impacting the children's sports game, correct?
No, they can still play sports, but
Is it a safety
it would just,
concern?
no, and we've brought in additional portable lighting for night games. So the intent would be to bring, if you've looked at the lights at the stadium, you can just tell how old they are. So some of the more efficient, the LEDs, better coverage, so we don't have to bring in the portable things and the generators. And as they continue to get older, it's harder to get replacement parts. So,
So it'll be more.
Yeah.
It'll become more efficient in the long run.
yes. Okay. Chittick and Irwin, PA, speaker replacement. Again, the systems currently work, but they are outdated, they're old, and they need to be improved upon. And again, because of the age, it's very difficult to repair them. So,
Just to be clear, that's the speakers that go throughout the school.
yeah, it's not the PA systems when we were in school back in the day, but, similar, it's still along the same lines. HVAC replacements. So it's great that we have, conditioned spaces in our schools. Most of our schools are 100% air conditioning, but some of the units are aging out. So we need to do replacements. They're very costly. We are working with PSE&G, who is our main electrical provider and gas provider, through their programs through the state to do replacements if they qualify. It's called the direct install program, where PSE&G will design, and there's times where it's 50 to 70% savings, and it's high efficiency units and whatnot. So we've been working with them to get cost estimates, and so we can start attacking those areas. I know we have certain schools, when heating season or air conditioning, they're constantly down. So it needs to be done, and we need to start attacking. There's no way we can afford to do all of them at one time. So we're prioritizing which ones are in the greatest need and start chipping away on that.
Let's see, besides the replacement of the HVAC units themselves, and I agree, if we can go to a high efficiency, that'll be savings in the long run. Is there any room to improve the insulation of the buildings themselves?
Yeah, so that would be a separate piece. I don't know. That's something that we can look into. As part of some of these direct install programs, they will come in, PSE&G will come in and do like an efficiency review audit type deal. So we would rely on some of their recommendations and also our professionals.
Good.
So Joe, for
Oh,
this,
sorry.
I'm sorry, so for this replacement, which schools we're doing now?
So we have no plans to do anything now.
Okay.
But Hammersholt, Central, there's units at some of the older units at Churchill. This building, every single unit needs to be replaced because we can't get parts. We replaced one that was totally down and out this past year. So the high school, and again, Hammersholt is unique because that's a brand new school, right? Well, it's not brand new anymore, it's 20 years old. So all of the units are aging out. We've done projects over time. So like the high school, it's like, okay, add new here, so that's fine. But the new from 15, 20 years ago is old. So those cycles are coming up, and we don't have the funding in place.
Thank you.
So it's gonna be a process.
Antoinette.
No, Lewa asked my question. I was gonna ask it with specific schools, because I know that Hammersholt is one of the schools where they've been having a lot of issues,
Yeah.
so that's why I was asking. Thanks, Lewa, you asked for me.
So the administration building, we have an emergency generator here that kicks on and operates our data center. If electricity goes out and the generator does not kick on, then Genesis is down, all our core systems. And that's happened. The generator is approximately 30 years old, and again, we can't get parts. So we are in the process of, the design is done. The process next will be developing the bid specs and going out to bid for that. But it's a core facility, and unfortunately, Dr. Mammon experienced that
On
like
day
the
one.
first, that caused some issues. So we need to rectify that so the district can continue to operate. Now, we're gonna get into the fun part.
Tim's been waiting for this
Yeah.
part.
So the TCU's / new high school. So I did this on purpose to make this disclaimer. As Dr. Tanyos had stated earlier, this is just a conversation. No action's being taken. We're supposed to have a conversation. What are the options? What's the drawbacks, the benefits, and whatnot? So it's very important that the public know this. And there's a tremendous amount of work, whatever is decided, to be done before we start taking action. So what you see here is the TCUs at Churchill. Not everybody in the community understands or knows what the TCUs are, often referred to as trailers, but as you can see from the picture, they don't look like trailers. They're structures. Next slide. So the aerial view, you can see that there's 3 distinct sections. There's classrooms, there's bathrooms in the both ends of the U section. There's bathrooms, there's the data center, some administrative offices, meeting rooms, along with the classrooms. Next slide. So this is an aerial view of the high school. The top part where the title is East Brunswick High School, Cranberry Road is there. The main entrance to the high school, you can see that comes up, the parking lot and then the building. To the left is the baseball field. To the right of that are the open fields, the tennis courts, just so you get a sense of, what we're looking at. Next slide. So one of the options that was discussed or asked about was, moving the TCUs from Churchill to the high school so the 9th grade could be at the high school. So option 1 would be to place the TCUs in a straight line on the other side of the parking lot. Just for reference, when it snows, the sledding hill, that is the sledding hill. Okay. All right. So if either option, there's 2 options that we'll talk about tonight about moving the TCUs to the high school. We would have to install fencing and gates to ensure that during transition periods, the students were safe and would not be exposed to cars coming through. My understanding is, the high school can be a little dicey with our younger drivers, so we want to ensure safety. So either plan would have the fencing and gates to ensure student safety.
But Joe, just real quick on this option 1 though. I mean, you're talking about a very steep.
Yes. So
So you're filling that all in?
no,
How is
they
that
would
working?
install on pillars.
Pillars?
Yes.
Oh, that sounds safe. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure to standard. And when I tell you how much it costs, you'll understand that they're safe. So
And not that you're not doing a lovely job, but I think, we wanted to have this preliminary conversation, but then bring in the architect who hopefully will
Yes.
make you feel safer living.
Yes, definitely. That'd be great.
Joe, can you just clarify I know this question comes up a lot, for like the community. Do we own the trailers? Are we leasing them?
no, we own the trailers.
Don't call them trailers. Yeah, they're TCUs.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
They are ours. So, okay, next slide. Option 2 would be to split out the TCUs and have 2 of them by the cafeteria and then 1 by the baseball field in that parking lot. They would be split. Because part of the you might say, well, why don't we put them on the fields, right? So if we build a new high school, that's where the new high school would go. So you don't want to invest the money and then have the TCUs in the way of potential new construction. So we are limited to where we can place them. Just like I stated earlier, option 2 would also have fencing and gates that would be open, closed during transition times. I think it's important to note with both of these options, it still does not address the condition of the current building. It does not address the limitations of the gym size, the cafeteria size. Lunch is already crowded. We add another 700 students, that would cause some issues, operational issues.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Wilbur.
So with option 2, it looks like it's going to have an impact on traffic around that side of the school, right? Because
Yes,
that takes out the driver that runs right by the cafeteria, and looks like it extends past where the other roads might be.
yes.
Antoinette?
Since you'd have to split them, 2 on one side and 1 on the other, the ninth graders would have to travel through the building to get to their, I mean, they're
Yes.
doing it now in Churchill, but I'm saying that's how they would get there.
Yes.
So,
And those little green lines that you see connecting from the school, that you're saying that's where their entrance and exits would be?
That would be the fence that
Oh,
would
the
be
fence.
put in to
Oh, to-
ensure that they're
Okay.
safe.
so is the, did you have a, Jamie, go ahead.
I was just reminiscing about when Churchill was not connected and we just walked between buildings. Same with the high school, and the gate was not a protective place for us. So it's really nice that the fences, gates, I actually really, no, genuinely, I appreciate the thoughtfulness that we're thinking of student safety. We're not just looking to move these TCUs. I appreciate that there was more than one choice here, because obviously none of this is ideal. We're just looking to bring the freshmen so they have the experience of being at a high school, which they deserve. And then again, you know, not for nothing, that would improve our rankings, right? The algorithms, having the freshmen, their test scores, it would improve our status and show how great East Brunswick really is. Because right now, we have a slight disadvantage. So forgive my jokes, but I actually, like, it's a compliment. I really am impressed and appreciative of this. Thank you.
So I'm glad you said that, because it's kind of along the same lines of what I'm saying. Even though the operational pieces aren't ironed out, it is a disservice to our ninth graders to not be at the high school. As somebody who has been through East Brunswick schools and who is a mom of a current ninth grader, so obviously this won't be to her advantage, but it's a disservice to all of our students. They are basically losing a year of high school. Having gone into like the rising 10th grade night, it's overwhelming, because then you feel like you're trying to cram 4 years of school into 3. It is not the same experience. And while it would be ideal to just have a new high school, this is a temporary solution, because the world becomes more and more competitive every day. And every day that we make our ninth graders wait, whether it's for a new high school or going to referendum or whatever it is, it's another day that they're disadvantaged against their peers in the state, nationally, globally. So it's just something for us to consider, that it might not be ideal, but it's something that we need to do sooner rather than later.
So option 1 and option 2, the estimated cost would be approximately $11 million to move the TCUs. That would include, you know, we have to run all new utilities to those buildings, you know, water, electric, sewer, data for the technology. It would also we would have to restore Churchill's fields, and all that infrastructure that was installed to have the TCUs there would have to be taken out, capped off. So in there, just so we're all clear, there's no funding built in anywhere for that. Everything we're going to talk about, there is no set funding, right? So whatever the decision is, we would have to figure out the funding, whether it's referendum, shared service agreement, whatever the case may be. Right.
Can we talk quickly about that ranking system? I know we've like discussed this in the past, but so I understand that they have to physically be on the same plot of land, which is kind of ridiculous. Same building, in the same building. So they have to even like touch in some way, or
Yes.
Okay.
In order for it to At the end of the day, it's about access and opportunity for the kids and the ability for our students to be in the same place with 10, 11, 12th graders, with teachers who are oriented in terms of how to get them ready for post-high school, whatever that is. And I think all of it together and the opportunity it gives for even districts to maximize our resources in terms of programs that the students will get or have access to extracurricular. You know how much we transport between all of that, right? I think that, and those are the things that equal rankings, depending on which one you're looking at. Yes, and the scores obviously are there and are used, the number of AP courses that kids take that equals merit scholars. Obviously, if you're in the same building, you get more. Our programs for our students who have other plans, our neurodivergent students, the spaces that they need in order to be able to compete in the world and apply their learning beyond just, going to college, opportunities for, hands-on, academies, that type of stuff. All of that equals ranking. So being in the same space, the way they look at it allows for more fluidity, and hence your ability to do that gives you more.
Got you. And I'm all in favor of 9 to 12. Like it makes complete sense to me in my head. Does it have any impact on funding that's coming into our district? A higher ranking, would that qualify us for more funding, or would a lower ranking qualify us potentially for more funding?
It depends. I think it can open us up to more revenue sources, grants for different things that we're able to do. I mean, we hear Dr. Bouchard even just talking about our robotics and STEM and the ability to even have the space to build some of these robots and compete. So yes, like if we had a more robust program, thank goodness we've been fortunate, right? We have some charitable organizations here like the EBEF that continues to fund some of these things that we want to do, but it also opens us to other revenue generating ways. So
Opportunities, yeah.
If I could just add on, when they're ranking and looking at the high school, most of our students are successful in passing their graduation requirement assessments at 9th grade. So students in the high school in 10th grade who weren't successful are taking the tests in 10th grade. So those scores are the ones that are being reported out. So that can skew the data a bit, because most schools in this state are 9-12.
So I think if I'm hearing things correctly, I mean, obviously our 9th graders are not, they're not at a disadvantage. I mean, or are they at a disadvantage right now under the current setup?
They are at a disadvantage.
Right? So so that's really unfortunate. And okay, yeah. I mean, so and to your point, Dr. Memon, like if these were together and unified, we believe that our students would accelerate at a higher level, and that more opportunities would be available to them if all four grades were in one place.
yes, and then there's also the misalignment of 9th grade being a Churchill with 7-8, right? If you want to talk about that developmentally appropriateness of it, especially even more so now with the students that are in our classrooms today, or the kids, and the environment that they're growing in. Moving, it's not just about moving 9th grade to the high school, but even Churchill too, right? Both will be better. So then you can have a true middle school, whatever that means, for us to be able to do what we need to do. So I think that moving 9th grade into high school allows for us to correct that misalignment that there is, that worked for beautifully and still continues to work, right? It still continues to work, but we are starting to see that strain. So for instance, I don't know if I can say, I think I can say this, like, right, in another year and a half, we have students that will have to send out of district. You know why? Space. And the space is that what we've been able to provide to them up until 6th grade at Hughes going into Churchill, we just don't have the space or the resources. So it's why would we send kids out of the district because we don't have space for bathrooms and toilets and creating little nooks for them in little areas. So it allows you to strengthen that as well. So I just, again, both sides, right?
Yeah.
Keep that in
And
mind.
forgive me for a couple questions here. I'm like, some of my colleagues up here are graduates of that lovely institution there. When you were
Yes.
there, was it 4 years?
No, it was never 4 years.
Never 4 years. Was it built as a 3-year school?
It was
been-
built as a four-year school.
a four-year
but it was-
school.
It was, well, go ahead, Anna, you.
The historian?
Yeah, it was actually, they went down maybe to 8th grade, those first few years. And then Churchill and Hammersholt were built in the 60s. And so those were the junior highs. So I went to Hammersholt Junior High, 7 through 9. So the high, and then, so at that point, when we had the 2 junior high schools, then the high school became a 3-year. But again, keep in mind too that, educational theory changes. We don't teach the same way that we taught 50 years ago. Things are very different. So the things that the children of today need are different than what I needed 50, 60 years ago. Okay? Yeah.
Anna, I have a quick question.
Yep.
Wasn't it Churchill and Smith? Weren't the two distinct buildings before they were connected? Wasn't one an elementary school?
Smith Elementary
Yeah.
School, right, is Churchill North building.
Gotcha.
Right.
Do you remember when they switched that over? Because I always knew it as Churchill.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Just curious. Thanks.
Yeah.
How old is the current building?
1958.
58, with add-ons, how often?
The last add-on was early 2000s when they added the second story, I think.
In the front of the building.
But like maybe 75% of that is from 1958?
Yeah.
All
Yep.
the separate buildings, and then the airport terminal was 2002.
You can actually go in and there's I like Ike stickers on the wall, as in Eisenhower.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like a museum.
Yeah.
I just want to give a little
My
feedback.
locker is still there, so yeah, it is like a museum. Thanks, Tim.
I just want to give a little feedback as a mom of a 9th grader, but also as a friend to people who have children in that school or already passed through that school. When the kids go into the school as a 10th grader, they really only get 2 years experience. So that first year is really just a transition school, new building, new teachers, new routine. So they're losing out, if you look at it, on 2 years of high school experience. When they're in the 9th grade, they're high schoolers, but they're not treated like high schoolers. For example, the other night, sports night, our kids got their certificates for sports as 9th grade freshmen, and it says middle school on the paper. They missed out on a whole entire year of amazing electives that are opportunities that they're never going to get again as freshmen. And it may seem like trivial, but the social emotional part of it is being taken from them also. They can't go to what's that? Right before football, what is it called?
Homecoming?
Homecoming. They can't. I know it seems like no big deal, but everywhere in New Jersey, homecoming is a big deal. They should be. Yeah, they should have been able to go there. Up until last year, they had to show their ID to go to a football game because they weren't considered high schoolers. So these are all things that they're missing out on. On top of the fact that they're not getting that educational experience, that they're not getting prepared for after high school. Because again, they're getting there in 10th grade, they got 1 year to adjust, and then the 11th and 12th, and then they're ready to push out. And other districts have already established that for their students. So the 10th graders are already comfortable in their building, and ours are just getting comfortable. So it might not be academically important, what I'm talking about, but that is also a major impact on the students too.
It's the whole student. We treat the student as a whole. Yeah.
My kids went through 9th grade not too long ago, but I won't belabor the point, but it wasn't an ideal situation for all the reasons that we've been talking about.
Lori?
As the parent of a current 10th grader, I hear from her and her friends that they do feel that they missed out on a year of high school and opportunities, right? She plays sports 3 seasons. They race out of Churchill to get the bus to the high school. They miss practice time. They miss time being with their teammates, learning from upperclassmen, being a part of activities, being a part of clubs that are available at the high school that aren't available to them at Churchill, classes, just the whole, I think, experience to them. And then they're like here in 10th grade, and the expectation is, okay, college planning, we're meeting with advisors, we're starting to think about it, but they're still dealing with the transition to another building.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of things that just go into place in thinking that our 9th graders need to physically be at the high school.
Yeah, right on.
Honestly,
adds a
even the
good point.
250-year picture that was taken the other day, it's like, these are our high school students. Really? Because you left the 9th graders over there, And that's their building, so they're with their building, but so are they high school or are they not high school?
Yeah. But that raises a point about the sports having to go to the high school. That's also a cost, right? To get, and
Yes.
since transportation costs are some of the highest costs we have right now, to get those students from Churchill to the high school, do we know how much that is?
Approximately, I think it's like $80,000, if not more, a year. We have 2 buses that run like a shuttle.
Yeah.
So, and I do
Plus
know
wear and tear.
certain times of the
yeah.
year, those buses are very crowded, depending on how many participants.
Yeah. So
Real quickly, earlier today, I Googled what is the average shelf life of a high school in the United States. Anybody want to guess?
50 years?
So that was a great guess.
Oh, is it
49.
Oh, wow.
So we've surpassed the shelf life, I think. If this building was built in 58, you guys said?
58. Yeah, 58.
That's crazy.
The classrooms are, I went through the walkthrough a couple of years ago when they were doing, when they were introducing the idea of a new high school. The classrooms are not even ready for the students of today. They still have the armchairs, there's no space for a laptop, there's no space for their backpacks. Some classrooms still have the chalkboards, right? Like, it's not for today's learning experience.
No, and the building is old. Our teachers have to deal with conditions of, leaky roofs, right? I think if we were to fix that roof, what was it, Joe, $15 million just for the
Yeah.
roof to even get it up to par. Sometimes, especially when we had a lot of snow this year, and when it started to melt, it was coming out through the light fixtures, and some of the times we were in the high school, you saw the buckets like lined up.
It's called leaky time. Like, we shouldn't have a time
Yeah,
where
there was a teacher
the
here,
walls
I
are
think,
leaking.
at the podium a couple of
Right.
months ago, and
Yeah.
she said when
Leaky
it's leaky
season.
season at the
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
And then there's rumors of bugs, and it's not rumors because I know from
It's bugs.
students, there's bugs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's really water coming through the roof at the high
Yes,
school.
there
Leaky
is.
season.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have
Leaky
pictures.
season. We have it on video. She said it.
Both of my kids talk about dodging the rain buckets during passing period if it's raining hard.
At the last PTSA meeting, we walked past, like, to go to the media center because it was on
right there,
the
too.
side. It's right
Yeah.
there.
Is there water coming through the roofs of any of our other buildings?
Irwin, but that roof is being replaced. The issue becomes, as roofs age,
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
So this is a massive structure. So the roof has been patched,
Yeah.
and finding water leaks is not easy because it could start way over there and end up over here. The investment, $15 to $20 million, when there's potentially you're going to build a new high school or come up with another solution. And P.S. we don't have $15 or $20 million. You don't want to throw good money into a bad situation.
My big concern with leaky season is mold. Like, if it's not being remediated properly, one, because the money's not there, or two, because you don't even know where the leak started. Like you said, the water is there, but the leak could have started over there, and you're not going to rip down all the wall,
So
all the ceiling.
right,
and the
I don't
walls.
want to alert or panic
Alarm.
the community. Alarm. When we do have leaks, they are, investigated. We have our environmental consultant come in, do the testing
Okay, good.
and whatnot. So air quality, the mold swipes and everything like that.
Yeah, it's expensive and
Yes.
it's not sustainable.
Yes.
It's not sustainable, and it seeps into the culture of the community, right? Because think about this: if this is the way that you lived in your home, and you were just worried all the time about a leak happening, and that was just something you carried with you. How do you learn in that environment? How do you teach in that environment? How do you come to work in that environment and actually feel good and get yourself in a place where you can grow and thrive? And that's a concern. That's just such a massive concern. So I mean, I get it. I know that, like, we don't have to ask kids to start wearing helmets to school, right? Like, we're not at that point yet, and that's good. But yeah, not yet. But I mean, it's fascinating to me. I mean, it just seems like the more I learn about this project, my oldest is in ninth grade, so I have spent very little time in the building. But the more I hear about this and the more I think about this, I'm amazed, and it's just so clear that it's not appropriate. It's just not appropriate for our community. And I mean, there's just, the evidence is there.
Are we able, as a board, to go and visit the leaky season to see it in action?
Let me share my experience.
We can make that happen.
I sit in the classroom, one for math, one for biology in high school. So they mentioned that they are still using very old armchair. Nowadays, our children are fully developed. Some boys and girls, it's so difficult for get themselves into the chair. And there's no space for laptop because the book is so big. You are sitting there for 2 classes. It's a horrible experience. Another time as I went to the high school, it was so cold. I can see some students, so hot. And some students, their back are wet. Because there's no air conditioning. I was sitting there for too long. I said, I'm sorry for that. I couldn't stay there for too long. It's a horrible experience. Really bad experience. I feel so bad for that student. They couldn't get themselves out from the chair. Because the armchair it's not that big armchair.
No, I know, I saw it.
Yes. So
And yet they're expected to take tests in that environment and, like, learn, and
they
the
do.
rigor is, and
Honestly,
they do.
And they do really well.
They're all right-armed chairs. So if you're a left-handed student, you're gonna. I'm not a left-handed person, but some of my artists are, and it's hard for them. So they have specific seating in my classes because they need to be more comfortable. I can't imagine having to take a test.
I've never had a lefty desk in 12
Right.
years here.
But the way that kids are learning in the other schools is different because you can rest your elbow on either side of your desk. So the seniors, the high schoolers are at a disadvantage even in the learning experience.
So it sounds like this needs to happen. It's just a matter of how do we get there.
Right.
But I'm going to ask you a question because $11 million is a lot of money to at least temporarily do this. We own the TCUs. What could we do with them after? Because $11 million is a lot of money, but if we can have it generate revenue,
Right.
maybe it's worth the cost.
Right, so if the TCUs are no longer needed for instructional space, there's options of putting community programs, early learning academy there, potentially moving administration to that building. So, it would require some renovation going from a classroom to an office building, or if they're really no longer needed, potentially selling them.
Okay.
So, again, I think I mentioned this before, it has to be part of a strategic, long-term plan. We don't want to do anything short-term and, figure out a year from now, 2 years from now, oh man, we shouldn't have sold them, because once you sell them, you can't get them back. There's a lot to be determined, because it is an asset. There is value there. It's just, how do you maximize that?
Joe, are we under any timelines in terms of forced timelines for us that we, in other words, can't use them as educational space?
No, so the TCUs are approved for a 5-year period by the state. If you go past 5 years, you have to renew the application. So those that remember Hammersholt had, before the new Hammersholt, there were they were trailers. They were not TCUs in the back, and they were very old. I can just tell you, as part of reference, I live in Jackson. They have trailers, and they're very old. So the original approval is for 5 years, and then you get an extension.
And in order to have an extension, do we have to have a bona fide plan in place for the usage of those, or for a new school that we're trying to build? Like, what would be the qualifier for us to get an extension? Is it automatic?
No, you have to make the application. I'm not aware of anybody being denied, because if they didn't renew the application, where are we putting those students? You know, the intent when you do the temporary classrooms is that you do have a plan, so you don't need the temporary classrooms.
Right.
I believe when these TCUs were installed, part of the plan was, okay, they're temporary, we're gonna build a new high school. And once it's built 9/12, you wouldn't need those TCUs anymore. So, but we all know a lot has happened since, you know, it was 6 years ago, right? And we haven't moved forward for various reasons.
Thank you.
So we keep saying they're temporary, but when Anna and I were at school boards in Atlantic City in October, we walked past one of the vendors that sold these, and they build entire schools out of them. So they're not really temporary.
Right. It's terminology,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you've been to the TCUs, they're really nice. Like, they're nice classrooms. Better than the classrooms we have in our real structures. So, you know, they are built to last more than the 5 years. It's not like, oh, 5 years they start, you know, falling apart.
Yeah.
So the other option that was asked to look at was building a ninth grade academy at the high school. So the green is where the ninth grade academy would go. This would include classrooms. It would include a media center, a gym, an auditorium, and expand the cafeteria. All right. So it would be approximately 83,000 square foot. If you go to the next slide, Karen, you can see, you know, these are just preliminary side elevation sketches, so you can kind of get a sense. 83,000 square foot is a large building. If you go to the next slide, the cost just to build the building is approximately, you know, $45 to $49 million. Right? That does not include the soft costs, which the professional fees, the DOE, the permit fees, contingencies, and any renovations to the existing high school. So based off of the conversation, I think everybody acknowledges the existing high school is based off of an educational experience from yesterday. It doesn't address the issues with the roof, the issues with the underground plumbing, that we have no plans for where the pipes run. Remember, it was just a couple years ago when we had to close the high school because we had a pipe rupture and had to dig up the hallway and whatnot. And it doesn't improve, you know, how big the hallways are, so kids can, you know, navigate the school. So it helps with putting the ninth grade there, but it doesn't fix some of the problems that currently exist.
Would we have to, if we did get a new high school, would this building remain, or would this have to be also demolished
Yeah,
then
so-
at that point?
Based off of what I'll show you next,
Yeah.
we'll say that that building goes away.
The ninth grade academy?
Right, but I'm sure if we went down this option, it could be redesigned to include the new structure, right? So I think that's part of the conversation the board really has to have, the community decide, you know, it's $50 million, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You don't build that and then 2 years
Demolish
from
it.
now,
Yeah.
build a new high school. If you're going, if the decision is to build a new high school, you don't go with this option.
I have a question. For option 1, 2, and I'm assuming this is option 3, to bring the ninth graders there, what is the timeline for each of them? Because if building this wing over here is gonna take 5 years, then that's not feasible. But
So I will talk about the timeline on building this new structure in a minute. The TCUs, you couldn't do that by this September. You're looking at, potentially next September.
So within a year, if, let's pretend everything's perfect, the money's perfect, everything's perfect.
For the TCUs.
Right.
Moving, getting the permits, pilings if needed, all that stuff. So you're probably looking at, an 18-month process to have them moved, everything moved, set up, so they're ready for September 1st, 2027.
What's the square footage of the TCUs?
The TCUs would be approximately 40,000 square feet, depending on what option. Because if you connect them in a straight line, you gain a little bit of square footage. If you split them out, you lose a little bit.
Right. And this ninth grade academy, is this a two-story building that would be?
There are some sections that would be two-story. The gym would be two stories high, but
right,
really
right.
just one
Right, right,
story.
yeah.
So-
Just looking at the elevation and trying to make
Yeah.
sense of it.
Lou?
Okay, just a quick question. So this third rendering here does not include the TCUs at all?
Correct.
This is a separate build-on
Yes.
out there?
Yes.
Okay. And so that, the question of what do we do with the TCUs would still be out there if we were to go to
Right.
this one. And it's very clear, to me anyway, that if we were to go to this model, that would be saying there's no new high school in the near future coming. This is the add-on to that piece.
Yes, I think that would be the case.
So it doesn't fix leaky season.
Right.
Wilbur and then Lori and then Liwu.
Let's see. We don't have a timeline on construction, and I'm actually thinking about the
I
part
do,
where.
but I wanted
Oh,
to address the construction along with the next option because they're the same time period.
Right, because I'm actually not thinking about the building itself, but connecting it to the existing building, slowing things down because you're going to be demolishing part of the old building, and then that takes extra time as well with potential exposures.
Potentially, I think that would be when the architect does come to present. That would be an excellent question for them and their expertise. I'm not sure how they plan on connecting the two buildings, but I'm sure there's going to be some impact to that area.
All right, so I'll save it for them.
Lori.
Looking at the placement of the ninth grade academy, I think one of the, I guess a few of the concerns I have is that we're adding additional
Sorry, Karen.
Students?
Can you go back
teachers.
one more?
Well, there will be adding additional teachers there, but losing parking spots and access road, because if you're going around that way past the back of the cafeteria, when you try to exit after school, either way, as somebody who picks up at the high school sometimes, even unless you're there first and out of the parking lot, you're there until after
Yeah, so-
3 o'clock.
The parking, the driveway, would have to be modified to go around the building. Yeah, you can see there is a parking lot over there. It would have to be connected. There is parking more by the stadium in the new softball field. So, yeah, there would be an impact because you are going to lose spaces, without a doubt.
Yeah, and the students who get those spots back by the softball field are not very lucky because I got stuck back there after Relay for Life, and I was there till like 3:30 getting out. It was, and I know I've seen them lately looking at how they exit traffic and the security guards and the crossing guards trying to be more cognizant of how they're rotating each lane and the buses, but really essentially they have to get those buses out of there because they have to get to the elementary schools after to pick up. And so that would just be one of my concerns is that what are we limiting there? Because even the back road to go out at the end of the day is backed up to the parking lots in those two parking areas in front of the school. So.
Liwu.
So let's go back to the ninth grade academy addition. So the estimation is 45 to 50 million dollars. This is based on today's money.
No, there's escalators built into that.
I
based
mean,
off
the
of the
inflation
timeline. Yeah.
is already built into that. Okay, so this is hard cost. So by your estimation, how much will the soft cost will be? How much will be that?
So the estimates are
The
from the
soft cost?
architect.
Yes,
So they're
all,
not-
everything
they're-
combined for those items.
I don't know what the soft cost would be. Typically, the architect, engineer, they charge a percentage of the project. And that can vary depending on the size of the project. The DOE review, the permit fees, contingencies, that would all have to be developed, and there is unknown, because if you put the building, the ninth grade academy where it's at, and I'm sure the architects don't know this either, what has to be done with the soil underneath? What has to be ripped up? They're not gonna build a building over the existing parking lot, right? That has to be removed. What is under that ground? So again, we're in the real early stages. So I'm sorry, I don't have an answer. I can just tell you, you're, at a minimum, you're probably looking at, $49 million, and more than that.
So it's safe for us to say we need add additional $5 million to the $45 to $50 million hard cost.
I don't know. If, and I don't want to say, especially publicly, because if we come back and it's 10 million, then someone's going to be like, why'd you say 5? I don't know. And I would rely on our professionals as we go down this road.
The reason why I'm asking this question is I just want people to know that this will be brand new, fresh money. If we decide to go this way, we're throwing a huge amount of fresh money to the bad money without improve our majority of our high school buildings.
Yeah,
So that's my
yes,
purpose.
Yes, I agree with that.
Lou and then Wilbur.
So, if this were to happen, and again, I'm just sharing my thoughts with my colleagues here, you're taking a lot of money and you're putting it into what we're calling a freshman academy. It does not it has nothing to do with the status of the rest of the building.
Right.
The building needs to be repaired constantly. So that's something I think we have to consider, and again, that's to your point, Lee Wu. In addition, we're saying it's the freshman, building, and maybe it should be the senior, quarters, because it's gonna be the nicest place. Well, it's gonna be the nicest place of all of our schools, a brand-new academy building. I mean, so I think that there's so much for us to look at here, but I do think what Lee Wu was saying does make a lot of sense. We're putting all this money into what? To get the kids up there. But the rest of the building is still in disrepair. And I think that's the part that all of us share. I don't see that changing.
Right. So I think potentially the way to look at this, if you move the TCUs, okay, that's $11 million. But it doesn't increase the cafeteria, the gym space. So if you want to increase the cafeteria, the gym space, and whatnot, then you're looking at 50, more than 50, because it doesn't include the soft costs. But those options do not address the core facility and all the issues.
But
that
this will
exist.
eventually need to be demolished if you need to do a new high school as opposed to the TCUs, which you could reuse, so.
Right, right.
I have
Or
a question.
potentially redesign the whole
Wilbur and then-
building to incorporate the new construction. We do have history with that. When Hammersholt was built, there was a newer section, and the whole building was designed around that newer section. But there's complications with that. The layout, Hammerschult's a beautiful building, but probably not put in the best location. Like, we're right on top of neighbors. That was a big deal when that school was built, and created a lot of unhappy people. It limited the space for outside activities. So, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we don't have a long-term plan, you back yourself into a corner. And you really limit, and then you end up with something that costs a lot of money that is not really what you want. So we have to be aware of that.
Wilbur, and then Antoinette, and then Anna, and then Tim? Okay.
So Lou actually set me up for my question. So under the things that are not included in the hard costs includes renovations to the high school. I just wanted to clarify, Are we talking renovating the entire existing high school building or just the renovations that would be involved with attaching this academy to the?
I think the intent was just to put it out there, saying the dollars reflected is just for the new building and nothing
Nothing
else.
else,
So
okay.
nobody has a misconception of, oh, we just spent $50 million on it and you didn't address,
Yeah.
90% of the building.
Yeah, okay, so we can assume then, if we're talking about renovations to the existing high school, we're talking about the whole thing that needs to be done, and I agree, it needs to be done.
Two questions. One, the wing that would be added, why are we calling it, like Lou said, a ninth grade wing? From my understanding, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students are all in class together throughout the day. They're not separated by grade, well, not all of them at the very least. So why would this just be limited to ninth graders? Why wouldn't we incorporate them into the rest of the?
You could. I think the concept when, it was talked about a ninth grade academy, there was concern putting the ninth graders, with 10, 11, 12, and kind of keeping them separate. You're never going to keep them totally separated.
No, but we want to
So-
unify them,
and-
so we wouldn't want to segregate them.
Again,
Right.
this is based off of previous conversations and trying to restart the conversation because we
Okay.
have not talked about this in a while. So it was just one of the concepts that was brought forward 6 years ago, I think, when this all started.
And how long would that take, and how would they do the construction without interrupting learning time?
I'm going to get to that. It's the last slide.
Anna.
Suspense.
I was just going to say, with moving the TCUs, we would have to move the kids out June the 30th, move those TCUs in place so that there's a place for the ninth graders to go by September 1st.
Yeah.
I don't see how that's possible.
It would require all the systems to be installed, all the
Yeah.
site work to be
Yep.
done. And we
Before
kind
they move in.
we did do that when we installed them originally.
Yes.
The tricky part, though, is going to be disconnecting everything, which they were, delivered, ready to put in place. So that would impact the timeline.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a little scary because we can't say, oh, oops, we don't have any place for these 700th ninth graders to go. We have to have this ready to rock.
They can come here.
Fine. Cool. So this has been this is great. Like, it's great to look at these drawings. It's great to, have some conversation on this. I think with just my personal opinion, with the data that's in front of us right now and the facts that we have in front of us right now, I think all three of these options are terrible options. Just the bottom line, right? Like, I think that's.
It's a Band-Aid
It's a
for-
Band-Aid,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and we're,
yeah.
and it's been said, like, it's not addressing the problem. The problem is the building, right? So I'm not in favor of any of this right now. We need a new high school. And I don't want to pour money into even moving the TCUs. It doesn't feel right to me to spend, to ask our taxpayers to spend $12 million for that project. And it also, anyways, the problem that we're up against right now, and we're going to get to it eventually, I know not tonight, but is this, as a taxpayer, right, and a resident of this community, is this going to cost me an extra $20 a month? Or is this going to cost me an extra $400 a month? And I know nobody can answer that right now, right? Because if this is if this obviously becomes a referendum and we go out, like, that's going to make or break the deal, right? It's all about how this is impacting my pocket. So, I just think that, we know what the problem is. We know what we need to do to address the problem. So we have to go all in on it. And clearly, there's still more data to be gathered and more information to be gathered. But that's just where my head is at. I think all three of these are really bad ideas.
If I could just say, bringing our ninth graders to the high school as fast as possible is never going to be a bad idea to me. So, of course, because I know what they're missing out on. So when he gets to the last slide and does that presentation, when you see that timeline, you might have a different opinion.
So additionally, I anticipate the number will be larger than we are talking about. Think about the inflation, think about the supply chain issues, the number will definitely be bigger than we're talking about.
counted for that, right?
This is just my opinion, yeah.
Okay.
Next. There we go. So now the potential of a new high school. So what you see on the screen is the overhead view of the whole high school property. The center there where the stadium is would be where the current high school is. And I'm not saying that there needs to be a new stadium or athletic fields. That would be to be determined. To the right, closer to Summerhill Road, would be where the new high school is built. The preliminary plans have been developed based off of past conversations, but there's a tremendous amount of work to bring it up to final specs and educational necessity. You can go to the next slide. You're looking at a 4-story building. We would have to build up. You're looking at a high school that would have to, house close to 3,000 students, 2,800 to 3,000 students. So it's a very big structure. Next slide. So the hard cost projected would be between 298 million, 325 million for the building. The soft costs are larger in this scenario. You still have the professional fees, DOE, permit fees. We would have to demo the existing building. And then whatever is decided, additional parking, fields would have to be built into that budget. And then furniture. We've talked about that. There's been comments about the outdated furniture. So if you're going to build a new high school, you're going to equip it for today's learning environment, not just today, but the future. And that's part of what we have to incorporate. Monroe, in the last 10 years, built a new high school, and by the time they moved in, they didn't have enough space, all right? So we have to ensure that we're not just building, if it's decided, a new high school for today, you have to build it for the future. Next slide. Last slide. So this gives you a projected schedule. From the time the board decides what direction they want to go to, whether it's building a 9th grade academy or a brand new high school, you're looking at another 24 months of planning and approvals to go to referendum, because there's a lot of information that would have to be submitted to the state for approval. County would be involved because there's an impact to Summerhill Road, the township as well. You can only go to referendum 5 times a year, January, March, September, December, and then November, because we have our election in November. After that, it would take another 12 to 15 months to finalize the drawings based off of all the feedback, and receiving the comptroller's office approval, and then the bidding process. And then you're looking at 36 months of construction to occupy the building. And if it is a new building and we would have to tear down the old building, that would take another 12 months.
So
So-
7 years.
Yeah.
7.25.
And now you see why I said 7 years versus 1 year, 1 year to get the TCUs here, to get the 9th graders there.
So if I could just add one more thing, if people remember when this was discussed at the board level last time, there was a conversation, is it better to renovate the existing and add on or build a new? If you're looking at a full renovation of the current high school, the price tag is approximately the same dollar amount as building a new one. And the timeline is longer because you have to occupy and educate kids. We don't have an alternative space. So you're going to do it in sections. So by the time you get done renovating that building, you're going to have a building that parts of it is 10 years old. So there's pros and cons for every option. And there is an impact to the taxpayer regardless of what option. So again, the plan for the future is, as we go along, to have the architects come in and discuss, deeper questions that they would answer in their expertise. So,
Jamie Van Wilber.
So to your point, Joe, one of the things I know about commercial construction and would be a concern for me is asbestos remediation, as the building was built in 57. If we encounter asbestos, there is a very specific process, and it will slow down that renovation dramatically. So, to say it could take 15 years to build a new high school, depending on what's found where, Antoinette, to your point, my kids will be long gone from this public school system. So, yeah, considering expedience, but also cost and the value to the taxpayers and the experience for the children, I'm really grateful to work with a board like this because I think we'll consider all those factors.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of Jamie's comment, the other thing with having to deal with asbestos, again, because of the age of the building, I'm sure it's in there, plus other things, and I don't want to freak anyone out. I mean, as long as you don't disturb it, it'll be fine. But, but if we're going to do that construction, and we're talking, what you said, 15 years?
well, based off of the
Let's say 10,
previous,
yeah.
it was like a 8 to 10 year
Yeah,
process.
Right, okay, so let's just say 10 years is a nice middle even number, and I think that's actually being optimistic, but still. What that also means is that we have to guarantee that 10 years worth of high school students are not going to develop any health problems from that, from those exposures as that construction goes on. I can't guarantee that. And I do know of some data that shows that you take a look at high school classes, and if they happen to be in an old building that underwent renovation, you can actually see mesothelioma spikes much later on in life, which is something that we should be considering about, which is a big thing in favor of a new high school, because then you don't have to deal with that. In terms of the timeline that you have here, you end with 12 months raising the existing high school, but the new high school can be used while the old. So we're really down to six and a quarter years in terms of putting the new one in. So that'll save some time, right?
But, it is important just to note that the impact on the site will be felt for an additional 12 months. As the building is removed, new fields or parking is installed.
Right.
The noise of demoing a building while instruction's going on. And, I mean, that's a big thing too about the renovation. There will be an impact to 10 years of instruction. So, you're not going to renovate a building and not make any noise.
Right.
And you can't do it all second shift.
Yep.
So it's just another thing to talk about and make sure, we communicate to the public. And so, there's no surprises.
One last thing is, and this is probably something for the architects as well, but are there choices that we can make, to mention the average shelf life of a high school is 50 years, are there choices that we can make that will extend that shelf life?
Yeah, I think that needs to be explored, and we have to make sure that we're looking at all of those options, whether it's green options, whether it's, certain materials that are used, what are the new technologies, what are the proven technologies? Maybe new is not the best because not every new technology is proven. So it's a chance to be innovative, and, make sure that the building lasts more than 50 years.
Yeah. So the reason I'm asking that question is that there's actually a model that I work off of when I think about a new high school or what our options are, and that's the high school I went to when I was growing up, Homewood Flossmoor High School in Flossmoor, Illinois, and where I grew up, I've come to learn is freakishly like East Brunswick in so many ways, but our high school was built in 1959. Just 2 years after EBHS was built, and it's so much. I mean, the building actually looks. The old parts look remarkably like our building. I had this huge sense of deja vu when I went to the high school for the first time. I mean, even the font on the big bronze plaque that says, everybody's names when that was the same. But the thing is, my old high school is actually still standing, and they've added on to it, and there's no signs of it falling down, even though it is pretty much the same age. And from what I've learned, and and also just my experience growing up in that town, there are decisions that were made in terms of maintenance and construction that allowed that to happen. And the net result is that my high school is close to 50 years old, but the footprint of it is 35% larger than it was when I was there. It's in great shape. There are no leaks, and it's it's a wonderful place to get your education. So the question is, how come Flossmoor, Illinois is in that situation and East Brunswick is not? So I think if we're going to do this, we should ask those questions in terms of what can we do so that 50 years from now, the good people of East Brunswick aren't thinking about building a new high school. Instead, they're enjoying the one that is actually better than when it opens now.
So I think just to be fair to East Brunswick, and I'm a little biased because
Yeah.
this is my alma mater.
Yeah.
Your high school is 50 years old? Yeah.
It was built 2 years after EBH.
Yeah, but even within construction, even that makes a difference
Sure.
in what's available and what's, sustainability changes every day. So we can't, it's comparing apples to oranges even within 2 years in
Yeah.
construction.
And
It's a very different,
Yeah, and I'm not looking at cast fault. I'm just looking to make the best decisions possible.
yeah.
Right.
I think Tim had a question, then Antoinette and Liwo.
Quick question. So if you move the TCUs, we know that we have enough space to satisfy classroom needs. Do we have enough space to satisfy cafeteria? Oh, you're already saying no. So how could that actually work?
But wait, hold on. When we went to high school, we had out to lunch, Jamie and I.
What would that look like for our insurance? That's my question. That why they pull out so much.
No, I mean, really, so we can't fit everybody in a cafeteria. I mean, even spacing it out, we don't have enough room, obviously, for everybody to come together for like an assembly, I would assume. We don't, sorry, no, I keep turning both ways.
There's not enough room now
Right,
at the high school because the auditorium seats like 700.
right, okay, right. Okay, so we're just adding more volume to a unit that is not able to accommodate it, essentially. Okay, I just want to make sure. I'm
Like you
clear.
said earlier, these are three bad options, but we just have to pick our poison, if any. But Joe, how much did because I forgot the TCUs, what was the cost?
The
All of them?
The original cost?
Like if we were to, and I'm not saying decisions are being made, but if we were to purchase a TCU cafeteria, because they do sell those,
Right.
what does that look like?
It's going to be based off of the size. The total project for the TCUs at Churchill was like $13 million, but that included all the site work and everything. And it's a lot larger. So if you build, I don't know the cost, but you're probably looking, I would guess, at least $5 million. Because you're building the structure, you're buying the structure, and installing where I don't know on the site.
So moving the TCUs implies additional costs, most likely, or changes to protocol in which people can now go out to lunch because we just don't have enough space for you to eat here, right? Like something drastic has to either change, or we just have to spend more money if we want to go with option 1 or 2.
But
Fair.
also, you just made me think of something else.
Yeah.
We have ninth grade staff now moving there and the parking lot's not changing, so where are they gonna park?
So
I'm sorry, they didn't change the parking lot at Churchill when they put in the TCUs.
Oh.
Just saying.
Oh, go ahead, Antoinette.
So 13 million to bring the TCUs to the high school so that the ninth graders could be part of that high school. Whoever's going to be in there will be in there, but just to be at there. and then you said it costs $15 million to repair the roof. So for $28 million, you repair a leaky season, you put the ninth graders in there so we can start getting them part of the high school experience, and then you don't have to spend $300 million when you're in the middle of an insane budget crisis across New Jersey.
Well, so, yeah, I just want to make it clear, the roof was referenced because, it costs a lot of money to do a new roof there. There's still other issues with that building, right? So if the board decides to, moving the TCUs is there and doing repairs and whatnot at the existing structure, there's going to be additional, right? That fixes the roof, but then what is it next? The building's not fully air conditioned. The space, the
Are the TCUs
educational
air
space.
conditioned?
Yes. So, I think, again, if the board decides moving the TCUs, that's what we want to do, and do repairs to the building, we would have to, investigate. What does that full repair look like? Because
I
if you're going to
think-
go to referendum, because you're 25 million, that's not a shared service, right? You're going to referendum to
Right.
make that happen. You're not going to go to referendum for that 25 million, then turn around and say, oh, we need another 5 million to fix this. So it has to be a comprehensive plan.
Quick question about that, because we don't have the original blueprints to know what the pipes and all the structure under the high school looks like. What kind of exploratory process would that look like to identify the structure so we can improve infrastructure? Is there even a way to do that?
I don't know.
I know you don't know everything, Joe. If there's a way to figure it out, I figure at least you have a direction, but,
So-
I wanted to go to every single place in town, like I wanted, and just go into the archives and look. Because I don't understand how we can blindly renovate a structure without knowing the basic blueprints of it. Just my 2 cents.
Leo, you wanted to?
So I just went through my another 2 cents to the renovation. So you guys talk about the asbestos. So for the old buildings, building anything before 1978, all the paint contains lead. So when you do the renovation, so the dust containing the lead, nobody like it, asbestos, everyone hate it. Additionally, because it lasts so long, which means our high school students have to learn in a construction zone for a period maybe 10 plus years, which is almost one generation of high schoolers. So I personally am now going to support that route to renovate the building, which is still not improved, solve our fundamental high school construction building issues. So that's not the way I'm not going to.
No, but you heard Joe, they're still gonna be affected by the construction of the new building because they're right next door. It's right next to it, so you're still gonna hear construction, you can't avoid construction.
But there's still some distance there,
He means exposure.
The exposure. So we have the terminal building structure now. If we have to do that way, we have to do it one after another one. So that's why we last so long. Additional to the problem, we need to find space for the students. So the construction itself generates so much emotional, health issues to our students sitting there. I don't anticipate any student can learn well enough in a construction zone, period.
Oh, Anna.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
That looked like something else.
I'm sorry, okay. Could we go back, can you go back to the picture or the site plan of a potential new high school? It's the green one, it shows all the fields, yeah, that one. Okay, so the potential new building, 4-story new building is all the way over to the far right. Am I correct? It's the pretty little colors, they look like little Lego blocks or something. Okay, so where that center section is, because you can see the existing parking lot that goes by the sleigh riding hill, right? That's the existing parking lot. So all that area there is the current building. Now, my classroom had a beautiful view of New Hammersholt going up. There was no problem. There were no safety issues, noise, really. And I mean, my classroom was not air conditioned, so we had the windows open. The fact that the New Hammersholt was as far away as it was from Old Hammersholt, we all felt perfectly safe. There were no downsides. The only thing I could say, like, yeah, the parking got a little iffy because of where the new building was going. But there would be no issue at all moving everybody into a new building, taking down an old building. There's not going to be, it's not like when they built the section that went from Churchill to Smith School, right? Because I was there, and when they were putting that up, and I remember after school, in the gym, because there was all asbestos and everything else, that was a mess. That was a total mess, because they were doing that construction within or right next to the school. And so that was totally disruptive. So doing it like that, if you had a totally new building, that would solve your problems with any safety concerns about, because God knows what's in that. Well, actually, God does know. We know it's asbestos and lead, because that's what buildings were built from at that time. It just is. Because old, when they were pulling parts of Churchill, the old gym section, yeah, there was asbestos. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I feel comfortable with, as far as safety is concerned, having it with this new building. Of course, then you have the nightmare of, this has to be put to a bond referendum. And I'm just going to go there because 6 years ago, these decisions were made, and I don't want to throw people under the bus. None of us were there, okay? Here. I think maybe Lee Wu, other than Lee Wu. We were not part of the decisions that went on 6 years ago. For whatever reason, they started, with the preliminary plans, and then it halted, and I don't know why. Money was spent to put the TCUs where they were. So I want to make sure, since I now am sitting here, I want to make sure we do it right this time. And we're not going to start something and then be like, oopsies, we're going to put this on hold again. No, we need to, if we're going to go for something, and if we decide to go for a bond referendum, then we will move forward. Because I don't want a replay of what's been going on for the last 6 years.
Yeah. Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I don't want to sit here, or I don't want to sit out there in 6 years and have that board be mad at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happens, Joe, if it goes to a bond referendum and the community doesn't want to pay $350 million for it?
Then it fails, and you either can go back out again with the same exact plan, or you can modify the plan.
And that extends the time of the school being.
Yes. But just remember, every time you do a bond referendum, there is a cost. When you do an
Well,
election.
that's what I was asked. That's why I'm
that is,
asking, how many times you're going to do
Not
it?
November, November, there's no cost, all right? Any other time, there's a cost to the district for doing an election.
But there's also a cost for the architect to redesign or come up with different, right? So every time we change it or we eliminate or we add on, that's a cost.
Unfortunately, yes,
So-
there's nothing free
Nothing.
in this world.
Let's see. the entire cost doesn't have to be under the bond referendum. There should be alternative sources of funding that we can draw on, no?
I mean, if there's state funding, if there's private funding, whatever, if whatever the cost is to the district, the only option for something like this is a bond referendum. There's not, we can't pay for it out of our operating, right?
Right.
So,
Right, I mean, I mean, we know that this would require a bond referendum. I'm just talking about the estimated cost, hard cost was what, $350 million, but the bond referendum doesn't necessarily have to be that entire cost.
correct. If
yeah.
there's state funding, like, years ago, then that would be reduce,
Yep.
Are you able to, sorry, are you able to find funding given your previous experiences?
No.
She
Not
know-
$300 million.
No, but some of it, something.
Yeah, I mean, there are avenues. There used to be the SDA,
right,
right?
which
But
we're.
there is a county development improvement something.
Yeah, so there's different options, because we do have a debt limit, right? And which, if you recall previous audit presentations, there's a slide about that. In order to get not around it as an alternative, if it exceeds that debt limit, you can go through the improvement authority, but that requires cooperation with the county and also the township. The issuance cost is usually higher because you have 3-4 organizations that are impacted. So it could be, part bond referendum, part going through the improvement authority. But, there are options, but it's limited. The SDA really doesn't exist as far as our type of school district. If Perth Amboy, New Brunswick, their schools are built and the SDA pays for it. They control the project, but it's funded through the state. There's not that mechanism. I was at New Jersey School Boards earlier today. One of the sessions was with the new Commissioner of Education. And one of the questions by the business administrators were like, is there any plan to make funding available because our facilities are aging and, we can't afford it. And there was no commitment. There was an understanding that, this is an impact along with, special ed costs and rising health benefit costs, but there's no solution. But at least there was a willingness to listen. So hopefully we can move and get some money.
So if it's 300, let's say 325, right, and you bring it out to referendum, how quickly does that financial impact affect the community? Do we have to have all 325 that first year?
So we would look at our current bonds, and we do have some expiring 7-8 years out. So you would want to feather the payments, right? So maybe in the beginning, it would be a lesser amount. And then as those bonds that we currently have are fully paid off, it would increase. But you're looking at least a 30-year bond issuance for something this size. You have an option 20, 25, 30. So you're looking at 30 years to pay it off. How that looks each year would have to be part of the planning.
And Joe, just to be clear, because everybody keeps citing the 325, but that doesn't include any of the other, the soft costs, which
Correct.
I think would be about another 150 million to get us to
Yeah, I mean-
500 million.
Knocking down a building the size of the high school is not going to be, a cheap proposition.
Me and
It's
Jamie
gonna-
will go do it.
I have family that builds schools in Texas. I'm right there if pack up the truck and come out.
The company that,
Bids for next state?
the architect that you're working with right now, how many schools have they built? Because I did hear from one of the Churchill teachers that the Churchill school, I don't know if it was the elementary school or one part of the Churchill school wasn't built by somebody who's ever built a school before, which is why the building doesn't work. I don't know if that's a rumor, but that's what I was told.
I mean, that's way before my
Right,
time in the
but how many,
architect.
do you know the history of how many schools this
You know,
architect has built?
They work in the school sector. I do know something this size would be the largest brand-new school that they built, but I mean, that, to me, that's not a concern because not many high schools are being built for 3,000 students. I think that would put us in the top 5 sizes of high schools in the state. So, yeah, they do have varied experience with additions, new buildings, you know, but this is a significant building,
Hammersholt went to referendum?
yes.
Did it pass the first time?
Yes, it did. Oh, not to
Hammersholt,
brag, but yeah.
Did you have something to do with that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, I raised everyone's taxes. You may still be paying off Hammersholt.
We are.
You're welcome.
So Hammersholt also included renovations and additions to Lawrence Brook and Central.
Okay.
So it was like $80 million in bonds at the time, but we had
What a
SDA
steal.
funding.
It was the largest bond referendum ever at that time in the state. And there was money available from the state of New Jersey at that time.
40%.
Yes. And because Hammersholt was considered a renovation because we saved one hallway and built the rest of the new building with the new hallway, we qualified for renovation money, not just, it wasn't, I know, it was a little,
Let's keep a doorway.
Let's keep the terminal.
it's just, yeah, that's how we ended up with that, getting that passed. And it's a matter of selling it to the community. And if this is something the community wants, then we have to bring it to the people and say, yeah, you either want it or you don't want it. Vote yes for the bond referendum, vote no. But we can't just be sitting here twiddling our thumbs for 6 years again
No,
and not making some kind of decision, because then we're definitely doing our students a disservice. And we will consult with the Churchill and high school principals. I absolutely want to make sure that they're involved in any decisions that get made as far as, realigning, because we'll be realigning grades again, right? Because we've been moving the ninth graders up. So we will do things differently than what was done 6 years ago.
I mean, I don't know. I know we said we're not deciding anything tonight, no, we're not. But I think, does anyone have a differing point of view from we need a new high school, or?
I do feel like there's more data to be gathered
Yeah.
at this point in time,
Yeah.
and which will be an important part of this process. So, and I look forward to that. I think that we're off to a really good start, and I hear your point. It's got to keep moving because clearly this is a concern. So I look forward to that effort.
I think, Joe, you did a really good job during the budget to let people understand where the money was going and what we needed it for and what we were trying to preserve. I think you would have to do something like that for this too. People need to know that, obviously, everybody knows we need a new high school because it's outdated. But the financial impact is going to be something that the community needs to understand. So I think if you can get everyone to understand that part of it, then you probably have more support for that referendum than if you just say, the desks are only for right-handed students. We need to spend $500 million. That's not going to go over well.
Jamie?
I just want to share that in, I believe it was 2022, Cherry Hill passed a $363 million bond referendum to fund improvements across their 19 schools. The local share translated to an average property tax increase of approximately $400 for a home assessed at about $226,000, and that was spread over a 20-year bond. The state did contribute 40% of their cost, about $113 million. The scope of the projects included HVAC, security, IT, and new construction. So there may be funds available. It's Hunterdon, I believe, also Hunterdon Regional, when they did their tech wing, that was over 80,000 square feet as well. I believe they received subsidies as well from the state. So I'd be interested to see what's available over time, and I know you guys have a good pulse on that.
So can I, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. If we do pull this off, I do think a bronze statue of Joe at the front entrance would probably be an appropriate step. I just want to add that in.
The Joe
Not with our
Crashfeld
taxpayer money,
Auditorium.
though.
So I think a reasonable recommendation is collect more information and not in the June 18 meeting, but probably in the July meeting if we have some of that to share. Would that be
When are the architects coming?
whenever Joe talks
Yeah.
to them?
So, we wanted to do this first and then see where we wanted to go. I can talk to the architects and see their availability for July or August meeting. So,
Yeah, okay, yeah, but I think this should be included in like every meeting moving forward until a decision is reached, so that, unless we need to call another special meeting.
okay.
Just so that we don't, like to Anna's point, so that we don't fall asleep on this for, it's, yeah.
No, I agree. Before we know it, we'll be back in budget.
Okay, absolutely. Guys, I've been requested to change things up on the agenda really quick, so I'm going to ask for a motion to move Human Resources Item 1.
Move.
Second.
Jamie, then Wilbur. Discussion?
May I?
Yes. Or do you want to wait till after we vote?
I was gonna give you like
A preview? Okay,
preview.
yeah.
so that way you vote
Informed.
informed. As you know, Kristen Che is retiring in August, and so Ms. Tibbetts and her team and I were able to interview several candidates for the position of Director of Secondary Education. And we had quite, what was it? How many? I want to say 18 viable candidates for this position? 36 applicants.
And then 10 that we brought in, I think the number is 10 that we brought in for
We brought,
maybe for interview.
okay. And I'm pleased to say Jamie Richardson over there
Hi, Jamie.
came out on top and is before you today for a vote to be our next Director of Secondary Education. Now, Jamie has very deep experiences. She would be, she's right now the Director of Curriculum Instruction in Perth Amboy, as well as other positions that she has been intern for. And for fun, Joe, she has her BA cert. Just saying.
There's plenty of work.
She's also held, she's been like interim, she said, I think the day we did a second round interview, working on my XA, and I was like, oh, extraordinary, because that too, special ed, she's very much familiar with and has held that position. So it brings me a great deal of confidence to put before you for a vote Jamie Richardson to be our next Director of Secondary Education. Jamie, you can wave.
Hi, Jamie. Okay, discussion? All right, so this is a roll call vote.
Anna Braun,
Yes.
Timothy Cummings.
Yes.
Antonella Vola,
Yes.
Jamie Falco,
Yes.
Louis Figueroa,
Yes.
Lori Herrick,
Yes.
Lee Woo Hung,
Yes.
Wilbur
welcome.
Pan. Oh.
Yes. And welcome.
Mary Ann Tennis.
Yes, motion carries. Welcome, Jamie. Yeah. Okay. No, of course. No, of course. We don't usually make you work this late. Oh.
All right.
You might want to stick around for this test presentation then.
Oh. I love it. I'm here for it. Anything else on capital projects before we let Joe off the hook? Tim, you good?
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Okay.
You did a great job.
Nice job.
Thanks, Tim.
There's room for improvement,
Yeah,
Joe.
just so everybody
Always.
knows, Tim has been asking about this since January. So I appreciate your passion and excitement.
It's an interesting project. I think that as we need to continue to keep this in front of us, I do think that it would probably make sense to form some sort of task force or subcommittee that could really focus in on this specifically, and not just include members at this sitting here. I think that that would probably behoove us as a community. So I'll add that in.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're moving on to a presentation on ILA grades 3 to 8.
Yes.
Dr.
I
Bully.
have a nice update for you on our language arts program. Next slide. We will be conducting a phased rollout here in September. As you know, we're going to be implementing K-2, and that's already in progress. Next September, we will be moving into grades 3 through 5, and the following September, we will have a full K-8 implementation. Quickly, I know we've talked about K-2. We're looking at implementing across all of our classrooms. This will provide our students with the high-quality, consistent core literacy instruction in all of our K-2 classrooms throughout the district. Moving into our 3 through 6, the students who are in grades 3 through 5 who participated in the CKLA pilot will continue with the program. For our K-4 elementary schools, there are only 2 schools involved. That's Warrenstoffer and Lawrencebrook, and then our students going up to Hammersholt. So those 3 principals will be notifying the parents of the students in the next couple of weeks. The students who are coming into Hammersholt, we have been consulting with the team at Hammersholt, the administrative team, and they don't anticipate any major scheduling impacts for the students, especially the 6th grade students who now will have the dual elective option. And then moving into the 6th grade teachers who are piloting the program currently will continue using CKLA. And to prepare for future implementation, the 7th and 8th grade teachers will be visiting those classrooms, conducting observations, and collaboratively planning for the future. And just to note that the Amplify ELA program is a middle school program. It's for 6th through 8th grade, and it's not very different than what the students are doing currently at Churchill in 7th and 8th grade with the class novels and the book clubs.
Sorry, Dr. Bullitt, you said that program is called Core Novels?
No, it's
No,
called, Amplify is the company.
No, the for 6 to 8 currently.
It's called ELA
Okay.
and CKLA for the
No,
K to
CK,
5.
yeah, okay.
ELA. So we're very thankful to the board and the superintendent for bringing the instructional coach position back for our K-2 implementation. This individual will be providing job-embedded coaching during the school day, modeling and coaching in the classrooms, and this again will ensure the fidelity of the implementation and that consistency across the classrooms. Additional supports that we are putting in place to support the implementation. You can see here on the screen, planning and support meetings, the grade level and department and staff meeting time, ongoing PD. We're going to be looking at a program that Dr. Mammon has experience with called EdWeb, the regular classroom walkthroughs with the CKLA look-fors, and that targeted feedback and coaching being provided, and those coaching conversations, as well as ongoing collaboration with all stakeholders involved. As far as the data, all of these pieces are aligned to assess the student learning standards. In regards to the DIBELS, any student who is in the red or yellow will be progress monitored. The CKLA program has skills and knowledge unit assessments at the end of each unit. And in 7th and 8th grade, those teachers will continue their assessment practices. They currently have common assessments, midterms, finals. So looking at next steps, our teachers will be starting training next week. The teacher materials have arrived and they'll be distributed to our teachers next week. Some of the student materials have already arrived as well, and we will be planning to get them out into the classrooms throughout the summer. Questions?
Yeah, no, anybody, questions? Wilbur?
Yeah, thanks for that. Can you give more details about the training for the grade 7 and 8 teachers as to like how many hours or times for the
Well,
year?
next year, they're not adopting next year, so they will be coming into the 6th grade classrooms. The 6th grade teachers who have piloted this year will be like model classrooms, and they'll be the lead teachers. So those 7th and 8th grade teachers can come and observe and talk with the teachers and understand more about the program as they begin planning for the future implementation.
Right, and so how many times would they be doing this, or is it like a one-time and
We're
you're done?
working on creating a schedule that they could come at least quarterly to come visit their colleagues and then to spend that time talking to them afterwards.
Okay. And then with the instructional coaches, just want to clarify something. Does the coaching extend to the upper grades as time goes on? Because the slide said it was for K-2 teachers. So,
Yes.
But I would assume that,
That position will
okay.
ensure that fidelity of implementation. So as the phases go through, that person will move up in grades, yes.
Okay, and then how many, like what sort of contact can we expect for, say, a first grade teacher next year in terms of meeting or engaging with the instructional coach?
Well, she will be ensuring that everyone is implementing the program correctly and effectively, and after that, it'll be as a needs basis.
Okay, thanks.
So I have a question around the student data and effectiveness, the third to last slide, Karen. Yes. So the progress monitoring for at-risk students, what does that actually look like?
Regarding the DIBELS,
Yeah,
so the
you said
program.
yellow and red. but-
Yes, students who are not on benchmark. Currently, they're being progress monitored, but next year we will be ensuring that all students not on benchmark will be progress monitored using that progress monitoring tool in the DIBELS.
So is that the same thing, like once in the fall and once in?
No, the assessment will still be given 3 times a year.
Okay,
But there's a tool in there to progress monitor students who are not meeting benchmark.
how
And that will
frequently?
be, I'm not sure, I think it's every 6 weeks.
Okay.
I'll have to add,
And when they're progress monitoring them, are they looking for them to just improve or to actually get to grade level?
I mean, the goal is to get to grade level.
Is there a plan on how to get them there?
Whatever's uncovered in the diagnostic is, teachers are teaching to that. And the reading specialist is working on providing interventions to help the students close those gaps and move towards grade level.
Okay. That's it for now. Anybody else? Antoinette?
Thank you, Dr. Boley. If we can go to, I don't know what slide number this is, students in grades 3 to 5 who participated in the pilot classrooms will continue with the program.
Yes.
So I know that when when I had asked you that question in the last meeting about the K through 2 students, and you said only 2 schools
Yes.
were going to be impacted by that.
Yes.
Which schools, especially for the 5th graders, for 5th and 6th, for the 5th graders, I mean, the incoming 5th, which schools had this CKLA that would be going into
Warren,
Hammersholt?
Stuffer, and Lawrence Brook.
Okay, so is it safe to say that those students will be in the same classes together in Hammersholt?
It's not safe to say that, but they'll be with a teacher who's teaching CKLA.
So then all of the 5th graders will be exposed to CKLA, and not just the students then?
No, the students who have had CKLA in 4th grade going to Hammersholt in 5th grade
Right.
will have a teacher they'll be having the same program.
They're
So-
getting looped in. It's called looping. So they're
Right.
just looping in just those kids. The rest of the fifth grade is getting what they have now, which is, what is it called?
Units of
Units
study.
of study, yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just curious how, so then, so they're gonna stay together, so then,
Well, not necessarily at Hammersholt. They'll be with a teacher who's using CKLA.
so for ILA, they'll be with that teacher, but other courses, they'll have other students in their classrooms?
No, what I'm saying is so the students in Warnstoffer
Right.
who are in second grade going into third grade will be staying together to go
Right.
to that
Yeah,
teacher.
that I remember.
But all of these students coming out of Warnstoffer and Lawrenceburg going to Hammersholt may
Right.
not be with their home classroom.
Not with their homes, but they will, so it'll be only those, so in their ILA class, only students who had had
Correct,
CKLA will be, so
correct.
they will all be together still, okay.
Yes. The principal should be reaching out to the parents in the next couple of weeks.
So are they asking the parents if they want their kids
There
to?
will be an opt-out option, yes.
Okay, so they could be in the pilot now, and if the parents say we
If the
don't want
parent
them
does
to
not want to
continue,
and
they'll
wants
go
to
back
opt
to
out,
units of study?
yes.
Okay.
The reason why I'm asking is I'm wondering about scheduling. So for example, if these students are in this program and then they take band, for example, but then band doesn't fall into that scheduling, will the parents be aware of that when they're offered this
They
program?
will. I connected with the team at Hammersholt today.
Okay.
And they don't anticipate
Any struggle?
scheduling
Okay.
implications, sorry,
Okay,
regarding this.
okay, all right,
So
thank
that's
you.
good news.
Lori, did you have a question? Oh. Anybody else? Anybody else on this? Okay. And Dr. Bully, when's the next time you anticipate a presentation to the board on progress?
We definitely are doing quarterly updates next school year, as we discussed. I know we talked about the DIBELS data at the next board meeting. The closing date for assessment is the day of the board meeting, so we'll have to
June
figure
18th?
that out.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Liu, did you want to say something? Oh, okay, I think we're good. All right. So we're moving on to the for the good of the cause for the public. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. To protect the privacy of all students and staff, concerns regarding individual students and staff members should generally be addressed by first meeting with the appropriate administrative staff. Public participation shall be permitted only as indicated on the order of business in Board Bylaw Number 0164 and shall be governed by the rules outlined in the agenda. If you would like to address the board, please come to the podium, announce your name, your address, and your group affiliation if applicable, and you will have 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to address the board?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Maggie.
And I will say I apologize in advance if there's some anger in my voice. While facilities are important,
Oh,
we have
Maggie,
Oh,
sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Name and
Maggie,
address.
George's, Garfield Avenue in East Brunswick, New Jersey. I am so sorry. While facilities are important, I'm very excited for new high school. We have a bigger problem that hasn't been addressed, which is the reading program. I have been advocating for my daughter since November regarding her reading development. I came here, I talked to you guys, I got some attention. She scored below benchmark in DIBELS in September, remained at benchmark for mid-year, and despite repeated concerns, okay, progress monitoring only began after February, okay? After months of conversation, I talked to lots of people, okay? Yesterday, I met with the reading specialist on June 4th. June 4th, I've been talking since when? Since fall, okay? 3 assessments confirmed that she has a phonics skill problem. She has a phonics deficit. Her phonics skills are first grade. My third grader, who I've been advocating for since the fall, okay? What concerns me the most is that these assessments were not administered until May 22nd, okay? And when I asked why haven't these assessments been done, she said they're not typically administered, phonics is not usually assessed after second grade, and that this assessment was only given because the supervisor told her, okay? And then I just couldn't understand. How is it when Dibble said that there was a decoding problem, that phonics wasn't immediately assessed, okay? This presentation was unacceptable, for literacy. Unacceptable. Monitoring, they've been monitoring her all year long. Who is accountable for the fact that she's still at the same percentile as September? Who's accountable? She's one girl I have brought multiple attentions to. I have brought this to every level. Every level. I've gone through the whole ladder. And yet, she's still at the same percentile. Who's held accountable for that? Okay? Now, this is just one girl. Okay? How many in the district have below benchmark in September and continue below benchmark mid-year? How many? Has that actually been shared? Well, I know there was a 36% data that, students are not at grade level. Okay? This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. My third grader, who's going to fourth, is at her first grade phonics level. And we've been talking, guys, hey guys, don't worry, everything's gonna be fine. Don't worry, she's doing well. Don't worry, okay? No, there is a problem, okay? And these assessments confirmed it, and they weren't given. Why weren't they given earlier on? So don't tell me we're gonna monitor kids. That is not enough. What are the interventions, and what are the
15
goals?
seconds.
Are they gonna meet that? And if they're not meeting those benchmarks, the goals, who's gonna be held accountable? Because someone has to be held accountable. This is unacceptable. And I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Maggie.
Jack Levitt, 4 Springfield Road. I want to start by congratulating you guys. Where you started at the beginning of the year to where you've come has been a Herculean task. You went from being disorganized with infighting to a cohesive, productive, engaged board that makes great decisions. And that's earned the community's trust. Congratulations on that. That's no easy feat. I believe it was able to happen because the community selected members of the board they trust would represent all the students in our schools, regardless of race, religion, neurodiversity, political affiliation, etc. That means that as board members, you need to abstain from a lot of behaviors. Endorsing political candidates, posting signs for candidates, being seen on social media with candidates, showing outward support at cultural events, etc., regardless of what your private beliefs are. I'm concerned that some of this trust may be coming into jeopardy. Without going into details, there have been recent posts on social media that have caused concern for members of the community that there are board members who, in showing political support, have made the other community members question their objectivity. Unlike most elected offices, the Board of Education is not political, and it's critical that any board members keep their private beliefs to themselves. As I said, it causes members of the community to question their trust, and I happen to be one of them. And I don't like saying that. Board members, if it's important enough to advocate for some groups over others, or to not show support for certain cultures, maybe being on the Board of Education is not the best place for you to be serving your community. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Anyone else wishing to address the board? Going once, going twice. Public comment is closed. Dr. Bully, are assessments being looked at? Yes. Okay, so what we just heard, was there a lag or a gap in time for when certain assessments were looked at from the beginning of the
I'm really
school
not
year?
comfortable speaking about an individual student.
Yeah, no, I'm asking in general, not for a specific situation, but because this was a new screener, was there a lag in time? Why, were the assessments?
The reading specialists have a plan for every student that they work with. They understand what the goals that the students are working on and what the interventions are that match that student's need. And they continuously progress monitor. Whether they're using this individual tool or they're using a different tool, they're always progress monitoring and ensuring that the child is learning and growing.
Okay, so when the screener was done in September, the data was looked at across the board
Yes.
for everybody, and assessments were done at that time to ensure what students needed, and then again in January?
Yes, and all throughout there, the reading specialists are looking at,
You can't talk from the audience.
The reading specialists are constantly monitoring student growth.
Okay. Is there a timeline of how often they're looking at student growth, or, even with this presentation, that was my question. So when they see that something isn't going well, you said they're going to look at it every 6 weeks. So has that been the case for what we currently have as well, or is this going to be something newly implemented?
This will be more standardized next year as we move into the new program, but what's currently happening is they are currently ongoing assessing students. And they, of course, are looking at student data as they're gathering it. It's an ongoing process.
I know, but ongoing how frequently? Like once a week, once a month?
It depends on the tool, and it depends on the intervention, and it depends on the data that they're looking at.
Okay, but
It's-
there's
it's
a
student
set, there's a set metric of how frequently
Yes.
it's looked at?
Yes,
Okay, and can the board see what that metric is?
certainly.
Okay, if we can have that in an email?
Sure,
perhaps? Thank you.
absolutely.
Thanks. Okay. Memo for tomorrow, thank you.
Yep.
All right. All right, if it's okay with the board, I will motion to move the rest of or I will ask for a motion to move the rest of the agenda forward.
Move.
Second.
Okay, so Wilbur and the whole agenda, the rest of the agenda. And Jamie. Okay, so is anyone confused on that? No? Okay. Any discussion? So that would include Board of Education, Business and Support Operations, and we already did Human Resources, so just those two. Any discussion?
I have one,
Yeah.
one question on the item to revise the school calendar. Can we get a reminder of what the language used to look like with the before the proposed changed? It says here, a revision is as follows: if 0 or 1 emergency closing day is used by April 26th, April 30th, 2027 will be a non-school day for students and 10-month staff. I just wanted a reminder as to what it used to look like.
It wasn't April 30th.
It wasn't
was-
April 30th. Language is the same as the date.
Okay,
That's
all right,
been,
great.
that's been,
Yep.
changed.
Okay,
That's all.
that's good, thanks.
Any other discussion? No? Okay. All right, so I guess this is a voice vote, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, all right, so we are on to committee reports, information items, and for the good of the cause for the board. We'll start with Anna.
We're in the middle of, or almost nearing the end now of concert season. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the teachers at Hughes. I was at the Hughes band concert and then the Hughes orchestra concert. And it was amazing to see over 500 kids, between the two groups. And the orchestra in particular, from one side of the stage to the other, and just how proud I am of those kids. And it brought me back to myself being in 5th grade and how playing an instrument affected the course of my entire life. And so I'm just so happy that we're able to offer these kind of classes like band, orchestra, and chorus to our students. And the administrator last night mentioned that for next year, 2,266 kids are signed up for performance ensembles. Now, I think that's more kids than are at the high school. So, I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. So I'll give that out. And then if you haven't been to the library lately, make sure that you go to see the art exhibit. And of course, it's combined with music. So it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Awesome. It sounds like we're going to need an even bigger auditorium. Yeah. Thanks, Anna.
Okay, so on May 26th, we had a subcommittee curriculum meeting to discuss several instructional topics. Some of those included what Dr. Boley reviewed as part of the CKLA curriculum. We also discussed assessment practices, which included the return of assessments, the timing and distribution of multiple assessments within the same day. So students voicing concerns about having testing for 3 subjects or 2 subjects within the same day. There was also questions regarding the purpose and effectiveness of midterms and finals. We discussed block scheduling with discussions surrounding both its instructional benefits and challenges. So benefits included things such as students having more time for homework, having an extra day between some of their classes, and then also, though, block scheduling, the time is really long. It's a long time for them to be in the same classroom. Sometimes there's, if they have a test or something, they're still there in that class for a long period of time, sitting with, I don't want to say nothing to do, but no, with nothing to do or not able to move on. So yeah, there was discussions about pacing, engagement, and as well as student absence. So if a student is absent for one class, that's 80 minutes. They're missing a lot of instructional time. But across all topics, the committee emphasized the need for continued information gathering, stakeholder feedback, and further discussions before any decisions could be made. These topics will remain under review at future meetings. We also kind of talked about how, as a district, we address test taking, time management, helping students manage stress, how we support our students, and that we have to provide more opportunities for teacher collaboration, because we've realized through getting rid or taking away from some professional development opportunities, we've taken away the opportunities for teachers to talk and collaborate about what's working in their classrooms, consistency throughout classrooms. And so we're like to offer, to find ways to enhance teacher collaboration. We will meet again in June to continue discussion on some of those topics, as well as moving on to other topics such as student device usage and transition between grades. For some of these subjects, such as the midterms and finals, block scheduling, a lot of the data or information that we're getting is coming out of focus groups that are being conducted at the high school level. They are consisted of administrators, teachers, students, and so they're kind of, and parents, yes, thank you. And so they're kind of getting all of that feedback to try to have really beginning discussions about just kind of how do we handle some of this? How do we look forward? What does the future look like when we talk about what our classroom structure looks like, our expectations of students, our midterms and finals benefiting our students? And so I look forward to those continued discussions and the engagement that has been developed over time at the curriculum meetings as a whole, our subcommittee meetings. And so I'm really proud of the work and the discussions that we're having. And then I also do want to acknowledge Kaylin DeRose, who is our rep to the New Jersey State Board of Education this year. And yesterday was her last meeting that she served at, and there was a ceremonial resolution passed in her honor where the board addressed her dedication and commitment. And I know from talking in the past to President Goldberg from the New Jersey Board of Education how proud she's been of Kaylin and the dedication that she's had and her enthusiasm for providing information. And then I remember that one of the talks that she did give was on block scheduling. So I think we'll have to invite her to a curriculum committee meeting. But I also just want to acknowledge, because I think it's important to know and maybe have her come and talk to the board about her experience on being on a state board, because I do think it's important to acknowledge that we've had a student that has sat at that level and been part of that wonderful experience. So That's it.
I think she's actually taking over for Jane, and you see
Oh,
her
that's-
at June
yes,
18.
Okay,
The board
perfect.
actually has
Then
a
we have
resolution
more
for
than
her.
enough time to talk
So
to her.
it's gonna be okay.
Can I ask a question? You mentioned that the high school has focus groups.
Yeah.
What about Churchill? Because Churchill,
I don't
can you,
yeah, Mr. Hannes, I don't know. He wasn't at our meeting, so I don't know. I don't know what
Okay,
kind of
well,
stuff he's done so far.
all right, well, I would,
I'm hoping.
No,
Okay.
Mr. Hannes is looking
Yeah.
at scheduling as well, and he has a stakeholder group. I can confirm.
Good.
This work has been going. We've been doing this.
oh,
This is-
okay, just want to make
yes,
sure because.
it's 7/12.
Yes, he wasn't at.
Jamie will take over.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because being a former Churchill teacher, we were kind of like the red-haired stepchild, and would get left out of discussions.
Yeah, we don't want
Back in
anybody
the
to feel
day.
that way.
We're inclusive.
Yes, we don't want anyone to
We're very. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah, he
because-
just was not at
Okay.
at this meeting.
All right.
But yes.
Thank you, Lori.
Sweet.
Tim.
Lori, you've been busy.
Lori's been very busy.
Very busy. Real quick, you all remember how I kept talking about the repair cafe, right? And I kept saying, "Oh, it's coming up, it's coming up," and then it got totally snowed out by 2 blizzards. This was like back in the wintertime. So guess what?
It's coming back.
It's coming back. Now you know there's gonna be a storm on Sunday, right? No, so this Sunday, Repair Cafe at the library. I really do encourage everybody to try to get out there if you can. This is a partner project with the library and the sustainability, the environmental committee. Just a bunch of great folks who are doing awesome stuff. So that's from 1 to 4 at the library. I just want to share that and encourage the community to attend. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. Wilbur?
So, so since the last Board of Ed meeting, I did attend a meeting of the Cable Advisory Committee. That was actually much more interesting than I thought it was going to be. A couple things that came out of it. One is that Optimum is actually coming to town, so we'll actually have some more choice in terms of cable internet services. We spent some time talking about that. I got some information on the process for operating and getting the licenses to run drones. Because remember at the last Board of Ed meeting, we voted on a thing to get that picture of the Churchill kids doing 250, right? Yeah, apparently the barrier to entry to having a drone and being able to operate that is a lot lower than I thought it might be. So it might be something that we could look into, just doing that in house. So that came to mind. I also went to the Senior Center for the Community on Aging meeting there. That was it was a good meeting. Good talking to those folks. There's not going to be much interaction with our students in the senior center over the summer, of course, but we talked about potentially seeing what we might be able to do to increase that interaction in the fall. And then finally, speaking of concerts, one of the concerts I went to was the EBHS chorus concert, and that was really terrific because Mr. Adam Good, who teaches that program, is actually moving on to Michigan State University because he got accepted into the doctoral program there. So terrific for him. Big loss for us. He taught both of my boys. They both participated in the choral program, and they continued singing afterwards. My older son actually joined the choral program at TCNJ, and one of the things he got to do from that was to sing at Kimmel Hall with the Philadelphia Orchestra, providing a live soundtrack to Home Alone. And my younger son just got back from Portugal and Spain because he was able to use that experience and audition for and got into the Rutgers Glee Club, and they just came back from a singing tour of those two countries. But the big thing that really impressed me about Mr. Good is that it's not that the students just love the choral program and that they have this great experience and go on. They come back to chorus concerts, and they come back in a way that I haven't I'm hard pressed to think of a similar thing elsewhere in the activities that the students do. It's not that they never come back, but there's kind of a intensity of and joy in coming back to see the course program that they participated in. And I think that's a lot of credit to Mr. Good and how he's benefited our students over the past 8 years. I think he's been here. Yeah. So I could be wrong on that, but yeah, but I just wanted to mention that. Thanks.
Thanks, Wilbur. Leo.
So, on May 18th, the negotiation committee had a great meeting with EBEA. I want to thank Dr. Mammoth and Dr. Titanius and my team member, Anthony and Wilbur, for the great job you guys did. So you guys' contribution, you guys' knowledge and experience make this negotiation a lot easier. But very important, I want to thank all the teachers, the EBEA, for everything you did and you will do for our students, for this community. Without your contribution, this school district will not be as good as we are now. So thank you very much. So on March 20th, Middlesex County School Board Association had a meeting. At that meeting, our Lieutenant Governor gave very good speech. But most important at the meeting, Anna, Wilbur, and Jamie received their new school board certificate. Congratulations to them. I have been saying that, while when we're elected, there are a lot of things we need to learn. While we're advocate, we still keep learning. That will help us to be a good representative for our community, to advocate for our children. And lastly, I was appointed to NJSBA committee, finance committee. I will make sure I will use this position to get more money and reflect the local school district finance stress to the state level. Let them know, we're not negotiating. When I talked to the Lieutenant Governor, I told him we need a new high school and we need keep good teachers at the position, and you need to come up with more money. I told him that we need more money, and very important as investment to school is very fundamental things. The government, state level, local, municipal, must do, because this is the future of our country. It's not just individual person, it's the national level. We have to invest more money for education. So I will make sure, whenever I have a chance to meet people in Trenton, I will let them know. Spending investment to education is for future. It's not for making money now, it's for the money, the future. So that's the job I kept in my heart.
Thanks, Leo.
Thank you.
And congrats. Jamie.
To quote a wise philosopher, thanks for noticing me. So I want to thank everyone that came out to the Unity Walk. It was the 10th annual Unity Walk for the East Brunswick Human Relations Council. Shout out to Dr. Tanyus's daughter, who won a poster contest. It was really wonderful to have students there. Speaking of which, we are still accepting student liaisons for the Human Relations Council. Anyone rising into grade 9 through 12 is welcome to speak with a guidance counselor. We would love to hear from you. We are looking to get at least 3 students per grade. It's great on the college resume, great to meet your neighbors, and just a great opportunity to be part of our wonderful community. I also want to thank everyone who attended the first Jewish American Heritage Month celebration at the library this past Sunday. I want to let you guys know about the Repair Cafe, which was already mentioned. And then the Sunday after that, AAPI, excuse me, is hosting a family craft event. It's a Dragon Boat Festival from 2:30 to 3:30 at the library. That's June 14th. And then the East Brunswick Astronomy Club just received its nonprofit indication. They are looking for members. There is an event coming up at the library. It's hybrid on Zoom on Thursday, 6/18/26, the June 18th at 7:30 p.m. It is an event regarding some really neat space stuff, and I lost it. It's a little above my pay grade. But it looked really interesting, and the people I know that are in the astronomy club are really wonderful. So I invite everyone in the community. It's open to everyone in the community. And then lastly, wishing all of my friends and neighbors happy Pride Month.
Thanks, Jamie. Lou?
Okay, just a quick shout out to, and I think Anna and both Wilbur had mentioned already, the Churchill and the high school choirs, fantastic programs. It's great to see them early in the year, then see how well they progress. Unbelievable the amount of students, the parents, the support. It's just outstanding. We are absolutely going to miss Mr. Good. We wish him all the best in his endeavors in Michigan, and maybe someday we'll see him back. I also just want to mention the spring sports, as Antoinette said earlier, are starting to wind down now, pretty much completed. And thank all of the parents, all of the students in the community for all that they do to help support our student athletes. Mr. Malta, his team, the administrations at the high school and at Churchill. It's just great to see them, all the kids together at the end of the year and congratulating each other on awards or just the fact that they participated and talking about next year. Again, certain things like our activities, our choirs, our bands, our athletics give people purpose. And as I think Antoinette mentioned it earlier too, we have people who just come out in the community, have no kids in the system, that just want to see our kids either perform on stage or on the field or or on the court. So just outstanding. And again, shout out to all those athletes who are finishing up their seasons, and hopefully they all continue on. And again, great job with our choirs. So continued success. Thank you.
Thanks, Lou.
Hi.
Hi.
Before I excite you with what's going on in Trenton, I really want to give a huge shout out to the Frost School for inviting the board to their courtyard, end of the year courtyard celebration. It was my favorite thing I've ever been a part of. Miss Kim and Miss Pisano are the chairs of the courtyard committee at club, and there's 28 students currently enrolled in that. So that shows you how much it's part of their school community. And to the principal, Dr. Delgado, she's one of my faves. She really is like a big mama bear to all those students and to her staff. There were so many cool things that happened, so I don't want to talk too much because it's getting late, but my favorite part was seeing, Jack, is you still here? Hi. What the EBF grant was able to accomplish in that courtyard. If you ever get a chance to see it, it's really amazing. They dedicated a bird watching area to an old PTA president and
Board president.
board president,
Yeah.
and invited her family there. And then my favorite part was Miss Como, right? Her name is Miss Como, the art teacher. She created a mural of this inside the building with a TV, live TV that would show them what the video camera shows for the birds that are feeding outside. And she created 2 mini murals for the families to have since they can't visit that area often. It was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. The gym teacher dancing, but my most favorite part, right, the gym teacher was funny. My most favorite part was when Miss Kim and Miss Pisano turned around and thanked their PTA for everything that they do for them and had every single student singing and dancing a remix song for the PTA. There's really nothing like knowing you're appreciated by your administration and the teachers, but going that extra, that was definitely more than an extra step, but going that far as to have the students learning an entire new song and dance and perform it for them really shows how much love is in that building. She had me thinking I should probably have another kid so I could send them to Frost. Or maybe I'll put my
You'd have to move unless we redistrict.
no, we can't. No, I have to move. But it was really amazing. So now to excite you, so thank you again for inviting me. Always invite me to stuff like that because that really reminds me of why I'm doing this. Because seeing all those kids enjoying themselves was really great. Now to excite you with legislative stuff. So the Senate passed this, which I believe we already do in this district, but now you have to do it in this district. The bill's number is 71340. It requires the Commissioner of Education, along with the Commissioner of Health, to develop and distribute guidance to public schools concerning the accommodations for students who are fasting for religious or medical reasons. Guidance includes recommendations for scheduling considerations, flexibility, differentiated instruction, alternative educational activities for gym, exams, and other school activities. Which, again, I think we already do it, but now you have to do it. The Senate Education Committee met this June 1st. I was originally going to tell you about some bills that had been discussed in between our last meeting and now, but I wanted to discuss these because I try to bring things here that are going to have financial impact at some point to us. One of the bills is S3715, and the sponsors are Senator Timberlake and Senator McKnight. This would require, so these are consequences for bias-related conduct. They want this to be a separate consequence than a HIB. They find that this specific area requires its own lane. They would require a student to determined by a school district to have committed any biased incident on school property, any school function or school bus to meet with the district's mental health care professional once a week for a minimum of 9 months. This would require a district to employ at least one mental health care professional with expertise in student counseling and training in bias, racial equity, and culture and competence specifically for this. It also requires a school district to place a student in an alternative educational program if the student's parent or guardian refuses to consent to the weekly mental health meetings. There's more.
Anything on the funding front?
The second thing is a student who is a repeat offender. So let's say they complete the 9 months and then they do another bias incident. Mind you, there's no place in this legislative verbiage for age. So you could be in first grade and this will apply to you. Student who's a repeat offender, which means you've done it another time after your therapy sessions have completed, will be asked to, I have to laugh because I can't, to place the student in an outside learning environment, outside the school district. The bill would require the district to develop racial and bias intervention plan and report a bias incident to the Department of Education within 72 hours of the reported incident. So there were 3 yes votes, 1 person didn't vote, and 1 person abstained. They didn't give their reasoning why, so I can't tell you why they didn't. I wanted to reach out to them, but there was not enough time in between. It's been referred out of the Education Committee to the Senate Budget and Appropriations, and Senator Gopal advised the people who spoke in opposition to it to connect with the senator to get their ducks in line. So there were people who were obviously opposed to this. The NJEA had concerns about sending students outside of the school, especially if the student has an IEP. How do you accommodate that? The Director of Governor Relations for Principals and Supervisors was opposed to it as written. She gave multiple examples of how bias is already approached in a way that controls the situation. The sponsor of the bill was giving examples of what happened in her district and what happened in Florida and all these examples of why she thinks this bill is important. And she said that she wants to she wants to nip it in the bud pretty much. She wants to prevent this from happening when these children get away with it and then they do these same behaviors as adults and then they're removed from their jobs or wherever they are. And then there was, the NJSBA was obviously in opposition of it because there's a shortage of counselors across all school districts. And the strict standard for out-of-district placements, there's already very few options out there, and this would just overburden that system. And then no one really spoke about the entire bill has nothing to do, no support for the actual targeted student So the student who experienced this bias, there's no mental health for them in this bill. There's no therapy for this bill. That sort of the therapist that we would be required to pay for this specific incident does not address the student who was hurt. So as this bill develops, I will update you on that, but I thought that that was something that definitely needed to be discussed here because the financial impact would obviously be a lot, especially for out-of-district placement, because you're gonna have to pay for that. Then there's another bill that they were discussing, which I thought was interesting, because I don't know if we do that here, and why I wanted to bring it up, because there was a lot, but I'm just gonna talk about stuff here. It was S2912, and what they would do is they would require the State Board of Education to adopt New Jersey student learning standards in social studies for 12th graders pertaining to voting and instruction on voting, and incorporate that into the curriculum. So the importance of voting, voter registration, how to vote, and do we do that already here?
Yes.
Okay, so then you don't have to worry about that.
Civics, whatever.
And that I'm not going to bore you anymore because those are the ones that really stood out to me. But I just want to say, have a good time tomorrow to all of our students, our seniors who are going to celebrate prom. Be safe. I'm watching you. Make good choices. Have a good time.
Can I just say that our boys tennis team won Group 4 state championship? They beat Livingston 4-1. Go champs!
Yay, congrats. Okay, I guess that leaves me. So I won't go over everything that everyone else already did, but I wanted to add that Dr. Mammon and I attended the opening of Lenape Park, which is a new park in town that is an inclusive park for our students who, a lot of our students were there at the opening ceremony. It was really nice to see that there's now a place that's inclusive for all of our students. And then the NJSBA county meeting on May 20th that Lee Wu mentioned. Just some things I noted there because there was the Middlesex County Teacher of the Year who happened to be from Edison this year. So we met your friend Eddie. He says hello.
Okay.
But she said some things that really hit home for me. She was talking about assessments and like a lot of our teachers here in East Brunswick, she was just wonderful. You felt her energy exude and it's like you wanted to be a student in her class. But she was talking about assessments and she said to understand the why behind the numbers, behind like the test numbers, you have to see the who behind the desk. And I think that's something that, you know, even as we're doing a strategic plan, I was taking that in there, that we're not just dealing with students as numbers, we need to see the who of who these students actually are. So that was really nice to hear. And then she addressed the board and she said, you lay the tracks so we can drive the train. And that also hit home for me. Like, we need to make sure we lay pretty good tracks so that this train isn't derailed in 6 years, to Tim's point earlier. So, you know, just some things to wonder about as you drive home tonight. That's all for me. A reminder that our next meeting is June 18th, but it'll be at the high school for our, in the media center for our senior awards. Yeah, so that is all. Recognition and awards, yeah.
It's a good night.
It was a good night.
Mhm.
Anything else from the board? No? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Move. Second.
Jamie, then Wilbur. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Have a good evening, everyone.